Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Wisconsin.
Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Wisconsin.
And we welcome all of those coming to us from the football game in the Big 12. We are at Miller Park tonight, the home of the Brewers, and a lot of Brewers fans are here. We are ready for Game 2 of this 3-game series, the Brewers and the Cincinnati Reds. And hi, everybody. We welcome you from Miller Park. We're just about ready for first pitch. Brian Anderson along with Bill Schroeder. Sophia Minard is our reporter here today. And quickly, Rock, before we get going here, let's dive in a little bit to Domingo Santana. No Ryan Braun in the lineup tonight. Santana's back in there. This guy has been impressive. Looked like he got himself out of a bit of a slump yesterday.
Yeah, there was a point in time where he just couldn't find the baseball at the plate, and one of those things where he was swinging through baseballs. But yesterday he kind of snapped out of it. After taking a couple of 2 straight pitches, Santana almost seemed to get it dialed in again, back-to-back hits, and showing some growing pains in a major league level. But he shows flashes of what he can do physically. This is a great play out in center field, and this is the first time this guy's ever played center. making a great catch out there in center field. There's no telling how good this young man can be. If he sticks to it, you talk to one of the Brewer coaches, they say he's one of the hardest workers on this ball club.
Well, and it's been interesting. Nobody wants to see their player go through a slump, but I think the Brewers were curious to see how Santana would handle that. Look, his first 15 games, very good. Hit for 300 batting average, 5 homers. His next 9 games, he did not homer, no RBIs, 17 punch-outs in those 9 games. So then coming back last night, had a great at-bat that ended in a base hit. He ends up going 2 for 4, and you want a guy who doesn't panic, is able to fight his way out of a slump, and it looks like Santana's been able to do that. On the mound tonight, it is rookie Taylor Youngman, and Rock, we're looking forward to Taylor Youngman's progression as a big league pitcher.
Yeah, last couple of starts against the Pirates and against the Marlins, both on the road, kind of rough. 10 earned runs in his last 9 2/3 innings, and keep in mind, a lot of these rookie pitchers at the Brewers now have never experienced September baseball, so embarking on some new territory and something they're not used to. They're going to have to navigate their way through this and figure out how to be able to still be effective with that extra month of baseball.
All right, well, as I mentioned, no Ryan Braun in the starting lineup tonight. A back injury. Let's see how severe it is. Sophia has more. Sophia?
Thanks, BA. Yeah, Ryan Braun out with the back tightness that has plagued him over this last half of the season. Craig Counsell saying that they may just have to do this for the remainder of the season to give Braun days off so that this back does not get worse. So just a day-to-day thing for Ryan Braun, nothing serious. And Jimmy Nelson has rejoined the ball club after being released from the hospital. You see him there in the dugout taking in some time with his teammates. He was released earlier today, of course, being hit by the line drive Thursday night against St. Louis. But Jimmy was in great spirits today, says that he feels great. He's eager to get back onto the mound. Craig Counsell saying he will not make that start on Tuesday, but Jimmy's feeling good. He won't do any baseball activities this weekend.
All right, Sophia, thanks for that update, and we'll see about Ryan Braun as we move ahead. Now, the Brewers will wrap up the homestand tomorrow. There's one more homestand left. That is the first week of October against the Chicago Cubs. That'll wrap up the regular season. So the Brewers are about to embark on a long road trip. They're going to head to Chicago to play the Cubs, and then they go to St. Louis and then to San Diego. So they're going to try to take advantage of Miller Park, although they come in with a 7-game losing streak. Taylor Youngman leads the Brewers out onto the field. And let's get you set up here from Miller Park on a beautiful Saturday night. Brewers baseball tonight is presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Book your stay now. 68 degrees. Just perfect weather for a lot of things, especially a Major League Baseball game tonight. Got the roof open after the rains came through the last 2 nights. It has cleared the way. Feels like September. Beautiful night here. Brian Price, the skipper of the Cincinnati Reds. His team leapfrogging the Brewers with a win last night. Milwaukee's dropped 7 straight. They have not won a game since Thursday week ago in Pittsburgh. And the Brewers trying to get back to winning ways against Price's Cincinnati Reds. Here's the batting order for Brian Price. It's brought to you by Potawatomi. Jason Bourgeois leads off. Skip Schumacher, then Joey Votto, who returns tonight after serving a 1-game suspension yesterday. Middle of the order is Brandon Phillips. Todd Frazier, the home run derby champ, and then Jay Bruce, who homered last night. Bottom 3, Eugenio Suarez. Tucker Barnhart will get the call behind the plate, and Josh Smith will be on the mound, and he'll bat 9th, matching up against Taylor Youngman.
Yeah, start number 19. Still very good numbers for Youngman at 3.05 earned run average. Has been particularly good here at Miller Park. 5-2, a 150 earned run average in 8 starts here at home, and he's done well against the Reds. 2-0 in 2 starts. He's allowed only 1 earned run in 14 innings against Cincinnati so far this year. Well, let's check out the Menards Brewers defense tonight. You got Chris Davison left. Logan Schaefer gets a start in center field. That moves Santana to right with Braun out tonight. Herrera, Segura, Jeanette, and Lynn from third to first. And once again, behind home plate, Martin Maldonado. Jonathan Lucroy still not ready to come back after suffering that concussion.
Rob Drake will call the balls and strikes tonight, the home plate umpire. You got Clint Fagan over at first base. Second base umpire is DJ Rayburn, and the crew chief, Country Joe West. And we are ready for baseball here tonight. Tomorrow, an afternoon game. And night baseball tonight on a Saturday night in Milwaukee. Great to have you with us. If you weren't with us last night, we continue the rookie theme in this series. All 3 games with rookie starting pitching matchups. First time that's happened since 1913. The Washington Nationals and the Boston Red Sox, the Washington Senators, who would become the Minnesota Twins. And the Boston Red Sox. Been a long time. Bourgeois fouls it back. 1 ball, 1 strike. One of the 2 Reds that homered last night. Bourgeois went deep. And the Reds won the game, sending the Brewers to their 7th consecutive loss.
Well, not a bad start by Zach Davies last night. Went 6 innings. But picked up the loss in last night's ball game. Much better start last night than the start before against the Pirates. There he is,
sitting next to Jimmy Nelson. Good to see Jimmy back. There's a swing and a miss. And Youngman starts his night with a strikeout.
Now the key pitch for him is that curveball that he just was able to get by Jason Bourgeois, keeping it down in his zone. Interesting stat on Taylor Youngman. Last 2 starts, he's given up home runs in each start. That's the first time all year that he'd allowed a home run in back-to-back starts. That's how good he's been throughout the year. Embarking on new turf, though, pitching in September. This is new to a lot of these rookies.
And Youngman's given up 10 earned runs in his last 2 starts. And Craig Counsell talked about that, the fact that this is the time of year to do it. The Brewers are not in a pennant race. You want to stretch these guys out and let them feel what September baseball feels like, that extra month that you don't have in the minor leagues. And so continue to play. You got to continue to work at it, and then that'll set them up much better for next season. You keep pushing the innings up. Brewers do have an innings limit on Taylor Youngman, but he's not going to approach that innings limit this year. They feel very confident that he'll be able to go the rest of the way and remain in the starting rotation barring injury.
Yeah, combined between AAA and the big leagues, 165 plus innings so far for Taylor.
So they feel like they could push him towards 200, and they also keep high stress innings as well as part of their analytics work. Schumacher bounces to Lind. He'll take it himself. And Youngman has the first 2 men out in this first inning. Youngman, a former first rounder out of the University of Texas, was drafted in 2011, the year the Brewers won the Central Division. And this is a matchup we're looking forward to tonight. The young Taylor Youngman against Joey Votto. Served a 1-game suspension. He actually was given a 2-game suspension originally for an altercation with an umpire on September 9th. And he appealed that suspension and had it reduced to a single game, which he served last night.
That's what usually happens. You get suspended, you ask for an appeal, they'll cut it a little bit, so why not do it, right?
He's had an impressive season, and a good chunk of that coming from his second half production. A .374 hitter since the All-Star break. Has the highest on base percentage in the big league since the All-Star break. He's up over .530 for an on base percentage in the second half.
And it was his good eye that got him in trouble when he got thrown out. Yep. Pitches a little bit off the corner that were called strikes. Bill Welke rung it up and he went nuts.
High fly ball slicing. They had him played over there, and Davis runs out of room. A roundabout track to that baseball, and
well, they had him shaded way on that left field line. Shading him to the left field line like a big time right-handed pull hitter.
So there is a little bit of sun to deal with as it sets beyond the first base grandstand, and you see the sun streaks that he was running through. Had that strobe effect. You could see it in his face.
And maybe lost track of the baseball, but he is really covering that left field line. A lot of room in that right or left field gap, left center field gap.
1-2 pitch, and Votto fouls it away. An emergency hack into that Cincinnati dugout. With skipper Brian Price. Votto's always enjoyed hitting here at Miller Park. He hits everywhere, let's be honest, but Miller Park has been one of his favorites.
Good hitters park. He knows the pitching staff pretty good for the Brewers. I mean, they play each other quite a bit, and those numbers speak for themselves. Look at the way he chokes up on that bat with 2 strikes.
2-2 pitch, and Votto rips one right field line. That's going to go to the wall. Joey Votto on his way to second. You just can't get him out right now. I mean, he has been extraordinary with his numbers this second half. His 33rd double of the season to go along with his 12 home runs, and he's one of the rare players to have an OPS over 1,000.
Yeah, he covers both sides of the plate extremely well. He sits right on top of home plate. Maldonado wanted it inside, but Youngman left it over the plate, and he rips it down the line. He chokes up about 2 inches. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Chokes up more than any hitter in the big leagues with 2 strikes.
If the Reds were in contention, if they were in a pennant chase, Votto would get strong consideration for an MVP award. Looks like that's going to go to Bryce Harper this year. I thought Goldschmidt and Harper were a 2-horse race for MVP, but Goldschmidt's tailed off a touch. He's still having a big year. Harper just continues to hit for power.
Yeah, unbelievable numbers. Batting average, home runs, RBIs, you name it.
Here's Brandon Phillips. Youngman last faced Cincinnati on August 28th. Got a win, 6 shutout innings here at Miller Park in that game. That was a 5-0 Brewer win. He faced him on the road in July 5th. Went 8 innings and 1 earned run in that game. Youngman has 3 wins against the Pirates. He's beaten the Reds a couple of times. He's fared well against the National League Central in his first year in the major leagues. Start number 19 in the big leagues tonight. Made 9 starts in AAA Colorado Springs. He's put together a good full season of pitching, and he's been durable.
Well, he would certainly like to finish off strong. You figure he's got another couple of starts after tonight. Talk all you want about what a great start he had, but what do you remember when you're sitting around the house in February? You remember those last few and how you fared? He'd like to finish off strong.
Martin Maldonado dropping the signs for Youngman again tonight with Lucroy still out. 3-1 pitch and a ground ball right to Herrera. And Phillips is retired. Youngman with a scoreless start. And now the Brewers are coming to bat against rookie Josh Smith. Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. By Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. And by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers. It's Miller time. Off and running at Miller Park. Reds fail to score in the first despite a Joey Votto double. And here come the Brewers now against Josh Smith. Scooter Gennett will lead off. Elian Herrera, then Adam Lind. Council has Davis, Santana, and Segura in the middle, with Schaefer, Maldonado, and Youngman rounding out the starting nine. Brought to you by Potawatomi. And Josh Smith continues the rookie theme, coming through the Cincinnati system and making his fourth start of his big league career. First pitch is low and away to Gennett. You see the numbers for Josh Smith.
Yeah, and one of those starts came against the Brewers back in Cincinnati on July 4th. Brewers beat him 7-3. Third time he's been with the Cincinnati Reds. He's been up and down 3 different times. Good numbers down in AAA. Had an 8-9 record, but a .345 earned run average and 22 starts in AAA.
Pitching in Louisville in AAA, AA for the Reds in Pensacola. He spent 2 days with the Reds in Chicago in April. He did not pitch in that brief stay. He was returned to Louisville in mid-April, and then he was promoted again on June 23rd. He made 3 starts for the Reds, sent back to AA at that time in July.
So he's moved around quite a bit, but getting an opportunity here in September.
Gennett on the ground, right to Phillips. One second baseman to another for out number 1.
Well, let's check out the Reds. Menards defense, one of the better defensive teams in the National League so far this year. You got Schumacher, Bourgeois, and Bruce in the outfield. Frazier, Suarez, Phillips, and Votto around the horn, and Tucker Barnhart, the very good defensive catcher. Barnhart, a throw percentage behind home plate at 29%. That's pretty good.
Votto back in the lineup tonight, already with a double in this game. Handles himself well at first base as well. Well, we got one MVP in there, and the Brewers MVP is on the shelf tonight. Ryan Braun, tightness in the back. And Craig Counsell, as Sophia reported, saying that he might not be in there tomorrow either. Herrera turns one around. Sharply hit single into center field. A base runner for Milwaukee in the first inning.
Yeah, Herrera's played just about every day for a long stretch of games, and whether it's second base, whether it's third base like tonight, he's starting to really swing the bat well, particularly from the left side.
So it'll be Adam Lind. Lind back in there tonight. Had a pinch hit appearance last night against a left-handed batter. Lind has some history against this pitcher, Josh Smith. Well, Lind's lone at bat against him came on the 4th of July. And he did that to right field, a home run. He's also walked twice against Smith. 3 plate appearances.
Yeah, that was on July 4th. The Brewers beat him 7-3 that particular night. And Lind came up last night with the bases loaded, was not able to drive in a run. Brewers were 0 for 11 in last night's ball game with runners in scoring position. They had opportunities, just couldn't get the hit.
Lind's had a nice year against Cincinnati. .370 batting average against him this year. He's got Herrera at first base. Big shift on for Lind. And the count goes to 3-1 now.
Yeah, about as far as you'll see a third baseman on a shift. Just daring Lind to hit one down that third baseline. That's your third baseman right there.
Full count to Lynn. Wide open spaces over there. Frazier in the what would normally be the shortstop position.
At double play depth.
Can make for an unusual double play. One thing position players are told, like Frazier, when they go into that spot, if there's a ball hit on the ground to the right side, you've got to hustle back to third so the runner doesn't keep going. There goes Herrera, and a swing and a foul. And that doesn't sound like much of a deal. That's certainly a common sense thing, but it's not in your normal rhythm to get in the set, see a ground ball go away from you, and then have to go sprint somewhere back to your position. Normally you're just kind of setting up for the next pitch. Every now and then a good base runner will catch a defender napping.
How about a ball up the middle? If he goes after up the middle, then there's not going to be anybody at third base. Herrera can walk into third. Be interesting to see what would happen then. Probably a shortstop would have to come around and cover third base. Always a risk when you put these shifts on with runners on base.
Now Lind hanging tough here. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Runner at first is Herrera. There he goes again, and Lind strikes out. Throw to second. He is late. That'll be a stolen base for Herrera. Strikeout for Adam Lind. Just the 3rd stolen base of the season for Elian. And he's in scoring position for Chris Davis.
Came all the way back to get Lind down 3-0.
Now Chris Davis hit number 22 last night. Checking the Powerball home run count. Oh, Brandon Finnegan. Solo shot. It was on the first pitch he saw. Matter of fact, of the 22 homers that Davis has hit, 8 of them are on the first pitch.
That's why you get a slider. Yeah, Smith not a hard thrower. I mean, he'll rush it up there, maybe get to 93. He has some sink on his fastball. You know, slider, changeup, curveball. He throws all 4. Likes to mix it up, both left-handers and right-handers.
Big swing by Davis. 2 balls and a strike on Chris.
We're going to keep the fastball away from the middle part of the plate. A 2-0 slider. And Chris had a fastball swing.
Now the Brewers trying to take a lead in this one. Something they could not do last night. As Smith misses low. 3 balls and a strike. And now Smith will back off. I think one thing you see a lot of in September baseball, especially when you have catchers, new catchers and young pitchers, there's a lot of time between pitches. Game gets going really fast as Davis draws the walk.
The catcher's not sure what a pitcher wants to throw in certain situations, vice versa. The pitcher not accustomed to the cadence or the rhythm of the catcher. Sometimes that whole thing takes a while to develop.
Just a lack of familiarity with pitcher and catcher, and both of these teams are without their top catchers. Devin Mesoraco has missed most of the season. He had hip surgery, all-star catcher last year, and of course Jonathan Lucroy is still out, still nursing symptoms from a concussion.
Yeah, Reds are 3 deep in the catching department. Ryan Pena out. He's available, but hadn't been catching.
He's had a hamstring problem. Domingo Santana, a couple of hits last night. Even Ryan Braun was talking about Santana as he was mentioning the future of the organization. He's very hopeful, and players like Santana, exceptional talent. Trying to put it all together in the big leagues. Braun helping him as much as he can, moving into that mentor role. And Santana's done a good job as the center fielder. Gets a chance to play right field tonight, which is more comfortable for him. Hey, there's a base hit. Pass to diving Frazier, and Santana on his way to second. He's in there. Now Davis is going to try to score, and he will score. The ball got tied up down in the corner, and it ends up being a 2 RBI double for Domingo Santana. The Brewers are on the board first tonight.
Yeah, after struggling for a couple of games, he's had hits in 3 consecutive at-bats. This one right down the line out of the reach of Frazier, and by the time Schumacher gets to it, that was a slider that stayed middle in. Frazier just not able to get there, didn't miss it by much, and by the time Schumacher gets it in, Chris Davis able to score all the way from first base. There's your lead for the Brewers, 2-0 here in the first inning.
It's actually played pretty well by Schumacher, but it hit the grass and just died.
It doesn't have much of an arm in the outfield. Skip Schumacher.
And Ed Cedar had the windmill going at third base. Coming all the way around to score is Davis. 2 RBI double. Here's Gene Segura now. And already a meeting at the mound. Seen a lot of those over the last week.
Yeah, both teams, all the teams that are having some young pitching out there. He's trying to calm Schmidt down. Remember, the Brewers beat him 7-3, so what he remembers about the Brewers is not necessarily a good memory. Brewers jumping on him early. That's what you need to do against a young pitcher.
Segura pops it up a mile high. That's going to end up in the seats. Now Gene comes in with a .267 batting average. On base percentage of .291. That's too low if he's going to be a leadoff man, and he's not in the leadoff spot tonight, but is against left-handed starting pitching. Santana at second base, and Segura takes a strike.
Yeah, Brewers really don't have a leadoff hitter. Trying to find one at least through the rest of September. Reds are having a difficult time with that, with Billy Hamilton out.
Hamilton's out with a shoulder injury, not with the team currently. High fly ball to right, routine for Jay Bruce. And that'll do it for the inning, but the Brewers strike first. And the guy we talked about on our open tonight, Domingo Santana. 2 RBI double. And the Brewers lead it 2-0 after 1. RBI double in the first inning. And the Brewers have the early lead tonight. Youngman will face Todd Frazier to start this second inning. Frazier, Bruce, and Suarez. Frazier with a couple of hits last night. And first ball swinging. Youngman tied him up. Todd Frazier is emerging as a face of franchise type player. Made the All-Star team this year. Was the starter voted in as the starter at third base. Won the home run derby this season.
Tailing off a little bit in the second half. Look at the batting average. You know, the home runs okay. Still 34 homers. Tough to keep up that pace of 25 home runs before the break.
And a swing and a miss. Youngman strikes him out with a fastball. First out of the second inning. Second strikeout for Taylor Youngman.
Have a high fastball in the low 90s. You know, that unusual delivery up in the zone right down the middle. Reds have had a difficult time with Taylor Youngman so far this year.
Making his third start against him. One away. Here is Jay Bruce. Slings a curveball in there for strike one. Bruce hit an opposite field home run last night. His 22nd of the year. He's driven in 80. He's got a low batting average, but Bruce does get on base. Batting average at .230, an on base percentage at .303. So 73 points higher is his on base percentage. Hoping to get the batting average up, and that would move everything else as Bruce strikes out. Youngman punches him out on a curveball.
Nice hook. He's got a good one. He's got a couple of strikeouts on that pitch. Got Bourgeois, now Bruce on the curveball. Third strikeout for him. Boy, that's a dandy. Late breaker going straight down. It's always a good sign. Hey, Youngman had a 6-1 lead against the Pirates, if you remember. 6-1 lead early. Control problems got him around the fifth inning. I think it was the fifth inning. And by the time he exited the ball game, the Pirates had tied it up. He hasn't given up too many leads in his short career.
Youngman comes in with a record of 9-6, ERA at .305. Had been in the twos until his last start. He's given up 36 earned runs this season as a big leaguer, and 10 of those 36 have come in his last two starts. Only gave up 9 earned runs the entire month of August. Suarez in a 1-1 count. Half swing, didn't mean to do it.
And again, it's all new to him, these starts in the month of September. The innings start piling up on you. Good learning experience for him going into next year.
Eugenio Suarez has been filling in for Zach Cozart. Terrific defensive shortstop for the Reds. He's been out with multiple ligament tears, knee injury, out for the season. He figures to come back. He's on pace to be back and healthy for 2016, and that means Suarez is considering and being pitched at other positions besides shortstop. Talking about maybe making him an outfielder. He said he'll take whatever they offer as long as he can stay in the big leagues.
Right. Well, he can hit for sure. Been pretty good at shortstop. No Zach Cozart, but he's pretty good.
Suarez is only 24. Native of Venezuela. He was with the Tigers. He and Hernan Perez were teammates. Perez acquired by the Brewers. They claimed him off waivers. This offseason, Suarez was traded from the Tigers in the Alfredo Simon deal. Tigers got a starting pitcher and then gave up 2 players, Suarez and Jonathan Crawford. There's ball 4. Youngman issues his first walk. So a little bit of 2-out damage for Cincinnati. Had a 2-out double from Votto last inning, and now a 2-out walk here in the second.
They mentioned walks a problem for him in his last start. It was the 4th inning actually where he walked a couple of batters and gave up 3 runs. Pirates able to storm their way back after falling behind by 5.
Tucker Barnhart with 2 away. Very selective hitter at the plate, and he swings at the first one and fouls it away.
Pirates have been, or I should say the Reds have been doing a lot of that. We saw Votto swing at the first pitch. Jay Bruce going after the first pitch. Frazier. Might be the plan against Youngman here. Ambush that fastball.
Yesterday, Barnhart walked 3 times, batting in the 8th spot in the order. Reds won that game last night 5-3. Finnegan beat Davies. Finnegan's now 4-0 for Cincinnati. That was his first major league start last night. Won his first 3 out of the bullpen with him. Zach Davies falls to 1-2, and Aroldis Chapman saved it here last night, his 31st of the season, and he was throwing a 101-mile-an-hour fastball here last night.
Wasn't even loose. Barely got loose last night. Makes it an 8-inning game when you're playing the Reds.
1 ball, 1 strike. Barnhart on the ground to Herrera. And he thought about second, but we'll take the short out. And that'll do it. Youngman 2 scoreless on the board. He's given up a hit and a walk. Our Columbia St. Mary's worth another look. Jorge Soler had a homer. Wind was blowing in at Wrigley today. Check out where this ball ends up. Off the bat of Chris Bryant. As I mentioned, the wind is blowing in. Knocked that one onto Waveland. And then the Cardinals were mounting a comeback in the 9th inning, down a run, and a great play by Addison Russell to seal up the game. Stroke got the save. They had ejected Rendon in that game, in that 9th inning. Cardinals made a furious rally late, but the Cubs win again. They've beaten the Cardinals twice.
Yeah, trying to make a statement.
Chicago is a half game behind the Pirates in the wild card race now. Pittsburgh has the Dodgers in LA, and they've got Clayton Kershaw tonight.
They got beat by Greinke last night.
Logan Schaefer leads off for the Brewers. 2-0 Crew here in the 2nd inning. That's what it looks like right now. So the Cardinals are up 4.5 on Pittsburgh. Cubs are within 5 now of St. Louis. And the Cubs are within a half a game of the Pirates in the wild card race.
They're not fired up at Wrigley, are they?
Tightening up. And by the way, even though the Cardinals lost today, you saw the numbers there if you did the quick math. Because the Giants lost today, Arizona shut them out 2-0. Or I beg your pardon, the Giants lost 6-0 to Arizona. That means the Cardinals have clinched a postseason berth, at least as a wild card team. And that makes 5 consecutive playoffs for the St. Louis Cardinals. So,
but I doubt there was any celebrating in that Wrigley Field visiting clubhouse.
Can't imagine. They know they're in, but
it's not a big deal.
They got their sights set on the division. That's a fun race to watch. Brewers are going to be right in the middle of it too. Milwaukee goes to Chicago to play the Cubs Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then they travel to St. Louis for a 4-game series Thursday through Sunday. Brewers could have a lot to do with who wins that division. They've got 3 against the Cubs in the last series of the year as well, right here at Miller Park.
Where do you think the Cardinals are putting all their players at Wrigley? They got 10 relief pitchers. They've got 10 extra guys on the bench when the game starts.
I hadn't thought about that.
Coaches.
It's a logistics issue.
I mean, some of them probably getting dressed out on the concourse.
That's true. Schaefer, a swing and a miss, and down he goes on strikes. 2 outs, or rather 1 out, second strikeout, I should say. Here comes Martin Maldonado. Last 3 games of the regular season at Miller Park will be Friday, October 2nd through Sunday, October 4th. Get your tickets now. The last chance to see Miller Park in all its glory. They'll close it down until next April. Brewers are going to open the season next season against the Giants. And even though it feels like a couple of years of a rebuild, I think the way the game's going now and the way the youth movement has taken charge of Major League Baseball, you never know if the Brewers can put it together quickly and make a run next season. A lot of teams have done it this year. Cubs weren't supposed to contend this season. The Rangers,
Astros,
or even the Blue Jays.
Twins. Never know, do you?
Yeah, you just never know. A lot of parity in the league. As Maldonado sends one foul. Count remains at 0-2. Roller out to Frazier. And he flips it over to first for out number 2 in the 2nd inning.
Hey, Fan Appreciation Weekend continues tomorrow at 1 o'clock as the Brewers wrap up their season series with the Cincinnati Reds. And all fans at the ballpark will get both a 2016 Magnet schedule and a Scooter Gennett Garden Gnome. That's courtesy of Waterstone Bank. Rated seats are still available at Brewers.com.
Giving away 2 things.
Yeah. As if the Gennett Gnome wasn't enough.
I mean, it stands alone. Youngman with a swing and a miss. Taylor trying to get Scooter Gennett to the plate here in the 2nd inning. It's one of the best gnomes we've ever seen, would you say?
No doubt.
I mean, I don't want to throw superlatives around, but that's a big league gnome.
Well, there's only been 2 that we've seen.
Well, what was the other one?
Garza.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely better. It's got the bubble gum. Youngman is out, and the inning is over. 3 up and 3 down for Josh Smith. Scooter will have to lead off the next inning. Open Miller Park. It's beautiful tonight. What a great Saturday night. We have a Shuck date. The Biloxi Shuckers, Game 3 tonight in Chattanooga. It's the Southern League Finals. Tyler Wagner, who pitched earlier this season for the Brewers, had a 1-0 lead over Chattanooga. Are they still the Lookouts? I think so. We're joined by Reed Nichols. He handles the operations down in the minor leagues, and I know you're dialed into that Biloxi game as best you can. What can you tell us about the way the postseason has lined out for them this season?
They've played great. It's a good team. That's a fun team. I was telling Bill earlier, that team can compete at times. They can compete at the big league level.
All right. And tell us a little bit about Tyler Wagner, who's on the mound tonight for them. We saw him once earlier this season.
You saw him, but he was amped up. He's a sinker ball pitcher. When he gets amped up, it straightens out a little bit. But he commands both sides of the plate with a slider too, little front door slider action. And he's going to be a contributor here at some point.
Yep. Reed helps run the player development side of things for the Brewers, so very well attuned to the minor league system. And Reed, we are in a position now as we get into September, late September. The season is winding down when we start to look at 2016 as Josh Smith, the pitcher, sends one deep. It is off the wall, and Schaefer kicks it away. Santana runs it down. And the pitcher is all the way to third base. That is a triple to start the third inning for Josh Smith. Boy, he hit that one a ton, Rock.
Goodness. To the opposite field, no less. I weighed back and just drove one. I thought off the bat that was a home run. Logan Schaefer doing the best he can to get there. He knows where the wall is. Maybe he had another half step. Might have been able to get there. That would have been a tough play for him. And the pitcher gets all the run. 2 hits against Youngman. Now a double, now a triple. Wow.
Joey Votto and Josh Smith with base hits. So a runner at third base with nobody out, top of the order in Bourgeois. So Reed, let's get back to it. So we're looking ahead to next season now, and in your mind, where is the Brewers player development system right now after all of the trades that have been made?
We're better. We're better than we were. We've got a couple of studs down in Biloxi pitching, Hauser and Hader, and Barrios, the reliever. He looks good too. So we've got some reinforcements coming.
Yeah, your pitcher of the year, Jorge Lopez. Tell us a little bit about him. Where do you expect him to be next year?
We got to give our Latin program a little credit because both him and Arcia have spent some time down in the Dominican working on things, and their Arcia is fun to watch. He's like Escobar was when he was coming on. He's 20 years old. I mean, he's just a kid. Lopez, solid 4-pitch guy, dominant, above average fastball, above average pitches across the board. He just needs some time, some seasoning. And I got to be careful because I get excited about these guys. And, they're not ready yet. They need some seasoning. I don't care how good you are there. You step up here, it's a little different. You add that third level, the third row of fans, and it's different. It's different.
When you talk about it, as we saw the graphic there with the Brewers minor league pitcher and player of the year, and Lopez and Arcia, both playing for Biloxi right now at Double-A. When you talk about a player not being ready or needing more seasoning, so give us just, you don't have to earmark one particular player, but what kind of things have you seen in your career?
I can tell you perfectly with Arcia, for instance. He should be here now defensively, and he's got such good hand-eye coordination. He hits bad balls that he shouldn't be hitting. So if he just, like Scooter's working on his plate discipline and swinging at better strikes, that's Arcia. If he does that, he's here. He's just got to do that.
And sometimes these kids are so talented, they think they can hit anything, right?
Yeah, and they think they can change their swing a little bit. I'm going to right field. I'm going to change a little bit. But you got to stay with the same thing. Be consistent. Just do the same thing over and over, and it'll produce results if you're doing it right.
Did it surprise you at all what Biloxi has done this year? I mean, we were talking in amazement about the way they started their season with all those road games, and they won the first half. Were you surprised? Did you know that they were going to be that good when you got these guys in spring training?
I should probably say yes, but they were well prepared. Our front office did a good job as well as the Biloxi front office people in laying everything out. We knew we were going to have that 54-day road trip, and it was all well laid out. They knew what to expect, so they kind of embraced it. This is what's going to happen, and they knew. So it was day-to-day. The plan was there.
I don't see many minor league teams elevate to the kind of public status, I mean, national press that this Biloxi team has garnered this year, and most of it started with that road trip. And You know, you look all over the highlight shows and the sports talk around the nation, and everybody's got their Biloxi jokes, the fact they've been on the road, and it wouldn't have been a story had they not won so much early. So the fact that they did go out and win like they did, and obviously you guys put together a very talented group there, but what was it like for the coaching staff and you guys from an organizational perspective when you laid things out? What exactly did you lay out that helped them get through that, as Votto sends that one way back and way gone? Man, Joey Votto, he is on another planet right now. A double and a homer tonight. That is a 2-run shot that gives Cincinnati the lead. That's his 28th home run of the season, and now 75 runs batted in. And Rock Taylor Youngman's not alone and not being able to solve the riddle of Votto right now.
No, Reed was just talking about, the difference between, being down in the minor leagues and taking that next jump is you can't make mistakes at this level. That's what happens to mistakes when you make them out there on the mound. And that's the kind of thing you're talking about when you talk about player development. But when you're facing guys like Votto and guys like that, you make mistakes, you're going to pay for them.
Yeah. And they look for that one pitch. They're not going to miss it.
So Votto goes deep. He's 2 for 2, makes it 3-2 Cincinnati. And with one out, here is Brandon Phillips. We're visiting with Reed Nichols, and just continue on that thought about how you prepared. What were some of the things that you talked about with those guys?
Well, to answer your question, it was more like the travel situation with the families and the apartment situation. So Gord was handling that with the Biloxi front office people, and they had their apartments laid out. They knew that they'd be staying in motels a certain amount of time. So there was never any question about, well, where am I going to sleep? Where am I going to eat? That was all taken care of for them. So all they had to do was go out and play and understand that, hey, you're going to be on the road for a while. Just let's go do it. And they're good players, and they made it fun. That's probably part of why they got such recognition, because you watch RC a few nights and you're going to have people start talking.
And the smart thing was you didn't give all their meal money all at once. that would have lasted, right? You had some guys starving to death at the end.
Yeah. Now with the Beau Rivage out in center field.
Things you never think about. Yeah, you got to spread it out a little bit. I mean, most fans, though. But, Taylor Youngman, I mean, you saw him in the minor leagues. You saw his progression. You saw what he did this year. I mean, did you expect or anticipate this kind of success at the big league level?
Again, I wish I could say yes, but he's got talent. He's a good pitcher. He's moving way over the right side of the rubber, and he throws way across his body. That should, when we get a guy like that in the minor leagues, our first tendency is to say, hey, let's see if we can straighten this out a little bit. But I got to give credit to Fred Dabney and Rick Tomlin for moving him over there, and just kind of say, hey, this might work, and it did. And we had him in instructional league. He didn't like to throw his curveball. We made him throw his curveball in instructional league. That's one of his better. This is better pitch.
That's part of player development, right? I mean, teaching these guys a different pitch, maybe, and you had to change the grip on his curveball as well, right?
Yeah, he's an athlete. Matt Krug, our site guy, says they're super compensators. These good athletes, and they know how to compensate to make it work.
Youngman shows that when he gets into a defensive position. He shows it at the plate as a hitter. He's got Phillips 0-2, and Phillips fouls it away. Well, as the Brewers season comes to an end and everybody kind of thinks off-season mode, you're just getting started, Reed, because you've got a couple of leagues starting up, the Arizona Fall League and the Brewers Instructional League as well. Those guys are reporting on Sunday, I think, in Instructional League. So maybe you can just explain the difference between those two leagues and what you're trying to get out of those two leagues as Phillips strikes out for the second out.
Well, the Fall League is a more advanced league. It's comprised of 6 teams on each individual team is 6 teams, and everybody contributes players to it. And those guys are almost major league ready. Our Instructional League is younger players, mostly newly drafted players, and maybe a guy at an upper level, high A, double A, that needs to work on one thing in particular. He may not be there for the whole time. We've got a really good setup. I like. We have 2 teams, and they're both bare minimum roster teams. One team will work out one day. They'll do get their field work. We work on ground balls, whatever they need to work on, and they don't play the game that day, so they know they can leave it on the field. Go out there, give it all you got. You can rest. After that, you're not playing today, so you don't have to save anything. And the other team is playing a game against another club. The following day it switches, and then on the third day we play an inter-squad game. And the squad game is not a regular game. We don't play for runs. We play for points. So we create one pitcher. We have 5 teams of pitchers, a 5-day rotation. So we got a group of pitchers. Every pitcher on the mound will get 15 pitches. And then we set up situations. If you're successful with a situation, you get a point. If you defend the situation, you get a point. So we'll have games that are 35 to 22. But it's fun.
It's a point system. That's good.
But you have to do the situation. If it's a bunting situation, get the bunt down or you get a point taken away. If you defend it, you get a point. So
yeah, development, player development. That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah. I enjoy that.
Sounds like it's worth televising. I think we're going to have to make a trip down there, Rock, for the instructional league and the fall league.
I'm in.
You would enjoy it. Charlie Green walks around the outfield. That's a point. That's a one-off.
I spent a fall down there in the fall league or the instructional league. I hate to tell you what year it was. It was 1979, but I remember it was hot down there in September.
It's always hot in Arizona.
Yeah.
Frazier leans out on one, fouls it away. Let me try to throw one more at you, Reed. Got 2 outs and 2 strikes here, but tell me quickly about Brett Phillips, Maverick Phillips, top prospect coming over from the Astros to the Brewers. How close is he, and what maybe does he need to improve upon to get to the big leagues?
Well, I saw him for 5 games. In the first game I walked in, he went 4 for 4 with a short, quick stroke. It was a great day. He played good defense. I think he's going to need a little more time. His swing can get long and loopy at times, so he just needs to work on that. But he's got the tools. He's maybe not as good defensively as Schaefer, but he's close.
All right, good report. Good visiting with you, Reed.
Pleasure being here.
That's Reed Nichols of the Brewers Player Development Department. 3 runs in for the Reds. They now have the lead. I mean, that is living the dream at Miller Park. Ooh, contact. That's a base hit right
Low
there.
ball hitter.
3-2 Reds have the lead, having some fun at Miller Park. And we're asking you to have a little fun with us. It's time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag #WishDataStrongFan. You just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Thanks to Reed Nichols, now the Brewers Player Development Department. Special assistant to the general manager, Doug Melvin. I think Reed's been around how long? Maybe, I think he said
25
part
years.
of 3 decades, right? 25 years, all
doing this,
working for Doug Melvin.
Yep, player development on the field, and loves his work. Good guy. Remember playing against Reed Nichols. He was a member of the Red Sox, infielder.
Now the Brewers find themselves trailing now. 3-2 the score after Joey Votto hit a booming home run in the right center field. Top of the order, Jeanette, Herrera, and Lind. Brewers got 2 in the first. Reds just got 3. And that one is ripped. Left center. It's going to go all the way to the wall. Scooter Jeanette on his way to second base. Leadoff double for Scooter Jeanette.
And Brewers aren't going anywhere. Well, settle in, partner. We might have ourselves an old-fashioned slugfest tonight. You ready?
I'm ready. Always ready for one of those.
Yep. And Scooter Jeanette with his first hit takes this one into the gap out in left center. Good hack, and Smith left that sinker up in the zone, and Jeanette rips it into the gap. And a good start to the third inning.
Herrera pulls one foul, got a breaking ball. Elion had a hit his last time up. Single to center. He stole a base and scored a run in that inning. Bunch of finals in the big leagues. The Nationals beat the Marlins. Diamondbacks shut out the Giants today. Minnesota and the Angels playing a doubleheader. And that is a very important doubleheader for the Twins. They lost the first game 4-3. Angels got them in 12 innings. Second game's in progress. Angels Twins. That's in the bottom of the third inning. Minnesota trying to hang in there in that American League wild card race. They have no chance at a division title, but they're right there in it. In the wild card picture, just a game and a half back currently. Herrera, left field. Schumacher is there for out number 1.
That gave it a good ride, but if you're going to make it out, you'd like to be able to advance Jeanette over to third base. Nobody out, you like to pull it. You make it out, you advance a base runner. So I would imagine if he was in instructional league, he would not get a point.
No point for that. Didn't advance a runner.
Didn't execute.
I think we ought to have games, real games, where we just set up situations and play for points.
We should just start keeping points here.
You know what? That's a great idea. Let's see if Adam Lind will get a point here.
I think it's a great idea when you talk about player development.
Sure. It puts a little heat on.
Right.
It's hard to recreate situations.
You know what that teaches you? You have a certain job in a certain situation, and you got to get it done. And if you do all those things well, your team's going to end up scoring runs and winning games.
So what's Adam Lind going to get points for in this at bat, Rock?
That's got to be driving in a run.
2 points for a run driven in. Snap throw to second. Jeanette is back. Now, what if he lines out? Does that get him anything?
I don't know. I'm not in charge of point giving.
Well, no, I'm deeming you president of points.
Okay, if he hits it hard at somebody, it's a point.
Okay, maybe half a point.
I was just joking, basically.
Well, it ought to have some value to go have a good at bat, right?
Yeah.
So a QAB is worth a point. Now, if he drives in an at bat or drives in a run, no matter how the at bat is, I mean, if he hits one off the ground and breaks his bat and dumps one into left field, that's worth something too.
That's a point. You don't get style points, just execution.
Did you take any away for taking a strike?
No. It's all part of the at bat.
I'm thoroughly enjoying this now. It creates a bunch of new options. Jeanette has a lead at second base, and Lind takes a ball. And he will draw the walk. Give that man a point.
That's a point.
Mark that down. So he didn't get 2 points for an RBI, but he gets a point for a walk. Tell him what he's won.
That'd be a good game to play if you're watching, the game on TV. It'd be a drinking game.
Nice.
You pick a guy, get a point.
I think the things that you and I say, there it is. He got a point. Somebody here watching a game for the first time going, what is that? What does that mean, a point, honey? They're just being idiots. Again.
See, at this level, you know, it's all about results, not so much in instructional ball.
Thus, the point game application in instructional ball
is moot here.
Not for our purposes, though. Because we have graphics machines and video replay.
You know what?
And
tomorrow,
the words coming out of our mouth. We can do whatever we want.
Right, tomorrow we're each going to pick 2 guys.
All right.
And we're going to go points.
Okay. See, now I'm engaged. Fully engaged.
Yeah.
This is great. Davis takes a strike.
And you know the best thing is we get to determine who gets points.
That's right. Which it's going to be helpful to know who's playing along. Some people don't deserve points. Got to get that list from Reed Nichols. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Davis takes a ball down and in. 2-2 now. And a line shot, base hit. Jeanette around third. He will score. And it's an RBI for Chris Davis.
Stayed right on that, didn't he? I picked trying to get away from him, but he went out and got it and hooked it into left field. So the leadoff double comes around to score. Chris Davis with another RBI. You can see that sinker going down, and Davis able to square it up and hit it hard into left. Once again, the Brewers taking advantage of the throwing arm, or lack thereof, in left.
So the game is tied at 3 as Chris Davis drives in his 57th run of the year. It's worth 2 points in our game. And Santana fouls it away. It's a good thing I picked Davis. There you go. 2 point.
So you determined.
I had Davis before the game.
No, an
started.
RBI's 2 points.
I just determined that.
Oh.
A hit and an RBI. A walk in an RBI, like in a bases loaded scenario, for me, that's a 1.5 points.
Should be 1 point. You can't get multiple points in any one play.
Really?
Nope.
Why not?
No. Your job is to get a hit, right?
Well, you gave Adam Lind a point, and all he did was walk.
Got on base.
I'm just weighting the value of what Davis did versus what Lind did. Great.
We need to get Reed back here.
It's settled now. 2 points for Davis. Well done.
Can we get him back?
I don't think so. I think
and he can iron this whole thing out.
We've come to an agreement.
No, I don't think we have. I'm not playing anymore.
Take your ball and go home. I need to find out. Do you get negative points? Are we issuing demerits at all? That down the right field line, slicing, and that is a foul ball. Brewers quickly tie it up. And Santana batting with 2 on and 1 out. Santana, he had a 2-pointer his last time up, driving in a run with a double. And a swing and a miss. Down he goes on strikes. So the second out of the inning. That's the 3rd strikeout for Josh Smith.
And that's the next thing for Domingo Santana, learning that plate discipline up there at the plate, particularly with 2 strikes. He's a pretty patient hitter early in the count, but a lot of young hitters have a difficult time laying off that high fastball. Up and away.
2 outs, 2 on. Here is Segura. On the ground to third. Frazier's got it. He'll go to the bag, and that will retire the side. However, Chris Davis drives in a run to tie the game and gets 2 points out of it.
The Brewers. He was released from the hospital earlier today following a 2-night stay after being hit in the head by a line drive in his start Thursday in the 3rd inning by Tommy Pham. And Nelson told us that he is feeling great, and he said that in his stay the doctors were so surprised that his CT scans did not have a fracture. At no point did he have a concussion or display any concussion-like symptoms. So Nelson joked, he said, I guess I have a genetically hard head, but said, you know, I know I'm very fortunate, very thankful that I am in this position. And counsel said, he agreed. He said, we're very fortunate to get away with no damage for Jimmy, no serious injury. He is listed as the Tuesday starter against Jake Arrieta, but counsel said he will not make that start. He needs to see a neurologist on Monday to be cleared, and they will go with the bullpen for that Tuesday start.
All right, thanks, Sophia. We have a Rock version 2.0 down there. Rock in the booth and Rock down there. By the way, Sophia, that was a great report. And for that, you get a point.
Are you sure I don't get 2 points?
Wasn't that good?
Sit tight on that one. Just 1 point for Sophia. Jay Bruce flies out. Youngman back to work, starting his 4th inning. Youngman's 3rd inning strikeout of Brandon Phillips was his 100th of the season. Makes him the 4th current Brewer with 100 or more strikeouts this year. He joins Nelson and Garza and Loesch. Fires is on that list too now with the Astros. So he's a rookie, and he's hit the triple-digit mark in strikeouts this season. That's significant because that means you're around long enough to do it. That means you're pitching well enough to stay in the rotation.
Yeah.
Eugenio Suarez. No jam shot. Actually, that ball's traveling. I beg your pardon. Sounded like he got it on the label, but
it did, didn't it?
Schaefer runs it down in deep center field. That one surprised me a little bit. Never trust your ears. So 2 outs. Trivia question brought to you by carsoup.com. Which 4 active major league players have had 3 seasons of at least 100 walks? Active players with 100 walks. Good question.
Yeah.
The art of the walk. It's always subject to debate, especially if you're a guy that hits in the middle of the order.
Unexpected driving a lot of runs, but if you can do both, that's a bonus. Barry Bonds walked a lot.
Fly ball to left, and that will retire the side. By the way, Reed Nichols, who just checked in, said I got -1 point for calling that a jam shot. Is brought to you by Marshfield Clinic. Don't just live, shine. By Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Fox Sports Wisconsin. And by Hupy and Abraham. 800-800-5678. Hupy and Abraham. Tell them you mean business.
Well, all tied at 3 as they're rocking the house here at Miller Park. Hey, on Sunday, October 4th, the Brewers close out the season against the Chicago Cubs, and with special DNR Days tickets, you can get a ticket to the Brewers season finale, plus a camouflage Brewers cap, all for just $17 for tickets. Go to brewers.com/DNR.
I'm going to distribute a point for the dancing a moment ago. That's a point for each of you.
Yeah.
Take it and run. Everybody's ahead of the game except me. Logan Schaefer leads off, and a high fly ball right center field. And it is gone! A home run for Schaefer. His first home run of the season. And he gives the Brewers a 4-3 lead.
Yeah, jumping on the first pitch. Knocking it out of here. Boy, the at-bats for Logan Schaefer have been pretty good since his call-up. Here it is, first pitch. Outer half, trying to get away from, but Logan able to get to it and line it out of here. Bang it off that back wall. Gives the Brewers a 4-3 lead.
Well, that's got to feel good for Schaefer. He's been swinging the bat pretty well since coming back from the minor leagues. And one swing, the Brewers are on top. Here's Maldonado now.
A nice easy stroke. Drives it out of here on the line.
Brewers led 2-0. Red scored 3 in the third to take the lead. The Brewers tied it in the bottom of the third, and now a home run puts them ahead. And Milwaukee scoring in 3 of the 4 innings tonight against Josh Smith. And there's a soft liner caught by Smith very matter-of-factly.
Yeah, off the end of the bat, wasn't hit that hard. Yeah, but Smith sometimes, you miss those, you miss them. You think it's coming back, that's a little harder than it actually is. You can see him double take on it. Able to flag it down right off the end of Maldonado's bat.
So the first out of the inning. Here is Youngman now. Smith's mound opponent. Schaefer has not homered since 2013. It's been about exactly 2 years. How many points are we giving Logan Schaefer for that, Rock? That's got to be a 2-pointer.
You can only get one.
4?
You can only get one. You only get 1 point.
I think 4 is excessive. I like 2. I think hits that produce runs are 2-pointers. Taylor Youngman with a base hit. So the Brewer pitcher getting into the act here tonight. Each pitcher with a hit. Youngman with a single.
Staying right on an off-speed pitch. Yeah, the Brewers are able to hit Smith around pretty good, and he made a start in Cincinnati. That was a hanging curveball. And Youngman, no slouch at the plate.
Now his average is pushing near 300 this year, and that's no small sample size either. He's been pitching in the big leagues since early June. And Jeanette, a changeup. He was way out in front of it. Logan Schaefer's last home run in the big leagues was on the 10th of September 2 years ago. On the ground, Phillips. He'll go to second. Out there, the throw to first is in time. Phillips to Suarez to Votto, and a double play will end the inning. However, Logan Schaefer back on the home run count, his first in 2 seasons, gives the Brewers the lead in the bottom of the 4th. It's 4-3 Milwaukee.
Logan Schaefer's home run gives the Brewers a 4-3 lead here in the 5th. And in our Crew in the Community tonight, the Brewers are asking fans to participate in the final drive for charity this weekend as the Brewers take on the Reds. When you come to Miller Park, be sure to bring warm hats, mittens, and scarves for young children that may be in need this fall and winter season. For each donation or a contribution of $5, fans will receive a one-of-a-kind commemorative player pin. So BCF thanks you for making a difference for children and their families. And again, that will run out this weekend. So if you're coming out to the park tomorrow, be sure to bring those donations.
All right, Sophia, thanks. Here we go to the 5th inning from Miller Park. It is 4-3 Brewers. Logan Schaefer with a home run to give the Crew the lead. And Brennan Bosch will bat for Cincinnati. So Brian Price is going to make a move with his starter here. Josh Smith goes 4 innings, giving up 4 runs, and he's going to go to his bench. Brennan Bosch, the former Tiger.
They got a base hit off the bench last night and drove in a run.
Youngman giving up a 2-run homer to Votto in the 3rd inning. 3 runs scored in that 3rd inning for the Reds. Bourgeois had an RBI ground out, and then Votto hit the home run. Bosch now with his 4th major league team. Came up as a Tiger. Was with the Yankees 2 years ago. Last year, a little bit of time with the Angels. A lot of time, most of that time in the minor leagues. Matter of fact, this is the most games he has played in the big leagues since he was a Tiger in 2012. Into the line for Josh Smith. Frustrating outing for him.
Yeah, disappointing start. Well, the growing pains of rookie pitchers. All 6 of them in this series. All rookies.
Line drive base hit for Brennan Bosch. And a pinch hit single for him in back-to-back games. Hey, a reminder, you can vote for your MVP. Help us decide which Fox Sports supports partner will be crowned the winner this season. The charity with the most votes at the end of the season will score big with a donation from Hupy and Abraham. Choose from American Heart Association of Wisconsin, Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Milwaukee, or Fisher House, Wisconsin. To vote, visit foxsportswisconsin.com/support. Top of the order, here is Bourgeois. A former Brewer. 2009 season. Bourgeois from Houston, Texas. He and Michael Bourne were close growing up. Those two roamed the same outfield with the Astros. 0-2 the count on Bourgeois.
Yeah, good pitch right on the corner. Maybe off a little bit. But because he was ahead in the count, Bourgeois had to chase it.
In the dirt, good block by Maldonado.
That's a point.
Keeps the double play intact.
By the way, I get the catcher tomorrow.
You know what? Now that you've had a chance to explain yourself on the points.
Yeah. You agreeing with me? Say a line drive base hit, right? That's worth 1 point. You hit it really hard.
You did your job.
Right. You did your job, right?
Little jam shot, pop up, long run. Jeanette will make the catch. Throw to first is late. Almost a double play chance.
So the same guy hits that same line drive, but gets under a little bit. It's a home run, right?
Wow.
So your job is to hit the ball hard. Remember, take the results out of the whole equation.
Okay.
Results don't matter here.
So if there is a jam shot and it's caught, and a little, I mean, if there's a jam shot over third base and it lands for a hit, that's not a point.
Unless you move somebody over, you get, advance a base runner. I think it's something we're going to have to chew on in the offseason before we actually have a competition.
I think the possibilities are endless, though. It's so much fun to think about the friendly wagering that we could have. We should have an instructional with Reed Nichols on the point system. It all came up talking about instructional league, how they create scenarios and they don't keep score. They don't determine wins and losses
by runs
on the board, as we are looking at now. The Brewers lead 4-3. It's all a point system, and they're creating scenarios. It's a developmental tool that they use in the Brewers minor league system. I'm sure other organizations do it, and we're fascinated by it. So we thought we'd start to implement our own system.
Maybe Reed will stick around and we can talk about it on the postgame show.
Now there is an excellent idea.
Now that would be a big money moment.
And that would be a point
to break all this down.
For Reed for coming on, and that's a point for you for having the idea. Because right now the ideas are in the negative column. We need some positive points, including the discussion of the point system, which is now moving into the negative points.
Another point.
I mean, it seems like certain players on the field are going to rack up more points based on the position they play.
Catcher, yeah.
So you choosing the catcher tomorrow, I mean, that seems like that's unfair.
I'm calling dibs on the catcher.
Sounds
tomorrow.
like you're skewing the system already. One, two, and a ground ball to Segura. Got to hurry this one. Out at second and not in time. That was close. There was a day with Skip Schumacher that would not have been close. But the Brewers might want to take a look at this one. Slow roller to short.
And a couple of hops and not hit all that hard, and slow developing because it just wasn't hit very hard. That's not even close. That's a safe call at first.
Well, the reason you're wanting that out is so you don't have to face Joey Votto with a man on base. And Maldonado having a chat with Youngman.
Not the craziest thing in the world to pitch around him in this situation, right? You don't want to intentionally walk him, but don't give him anything to hit.
One thing we know about Joey Votto, if he doesn't get a strike, he is not going to swing. Which is no knock on Votto, but as a run producer, there is one camp that wants him to stretch the strike zone a little bit. He refuses to do it, and it is an interesting debate. What is more valuable, the way he gets on base?
Signed the long-term deal based on driving in runs, hitting homers. He's doing both. RBIs are down a little bit, only 75. Nothing wrong with the 28 homers.
Well, normally when Votto homers at Miller Park, the Reds win. Matter of fact, they are 11-1 in games at Miller Park where Votto has homered. The only time he homered and the Reds lost was back in 2011. And he hit a booming home run in the third inning. Takes a strike.
Jeez.
1-2 the count. Back of the third. A no-doubter for Votto.
That same pitch that he hit out right there, he just took in this at bat.
That gave the Reds the lead. At the time it was 3-2. The Brewers have been able to wrestle it back. Boy, what a year he's having. Starting to look like an MVP again for Cincinnati now that he's healthy. Wow, a little half swing roller to Herrera. Votto going out of the strike zone that time. Youngman with good stuff to get Votto to swing like that. And the inning is over, a scoreless fifth. on the Milwaukee River. It's 4-3. The Brewers lead the Reds as we head to the 5th inning, bottom of the 5th. And tonight, be sure to catch Fox Sports Live on FS1 for complete highlights and analysis of everything that happened in Major League Baseball today. Get the latest from the world of sports, college football. Fox Sports Live is tonight on FS1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Got a new pitcher here for Cincinnati. Tony Cingrani back out there, his second consecutive night. The starter, Josh Smith, out after 4 innings.
Yeah, 2/3 scoreless last night. Walked a batter, struck out a couple. Only needed 15 pitches to get through an inning against Milwaukee last night. 22 walks, 32 strikeouts. He likes the fastball. He throws a lot of them.
Brewers lead 4-3. Coming back from down 3-2. And they have scored in 3 of the first 4 innings here tonight. Elian Herrera, Adam Lind, and Chris Davis will start it against Cingrani. No Ryan Braun in the lineup tonight. Tightness in the back, Sophia reported. And he is questionable for tomorrow's game as well. Shattered the bat. Bad boys always have a standby waiting.
That prefers the claw as opposed to the pine tar. The stick 'em stick. I was a pine tar guy back in my day. I like the smell of it.
Pine tar. Got the glue stick. Little rosin. All kind of options over there in the on-deck circle. What else we have? The weighted bat. But the actual weight, I don't ever see anybody swinging the weighted bat. They put the weight on the bat. Ryan Howard warms up with a big lead pipe.
Yeah. Dave Parker used to have a sledgehammer.
Sledgehammer, right. That's right.
There's that fastball. We see Cingrani throwing a lot. There's that weight.
The donut.
The donut. You put it on the end of the bat. You know, the thing that players like about that is they can able to, have their bat and their handle. Grip the bat that they're going to use in the game. You can't do that with that weighted bat.
The old donut is the standby. Adam Lind's he's going all natural. His bat's good, just like he's got it.
Got a little claw on it, a little stickum.
Lind's one of those guys, and a lot of guys do that, but he's working on timing. So you'll see Lind taking his stance, his practice stance, kind of on the same parallel angle as he would, and he's trying to time the pitcher.
That would be a time to dial up the instructional we did on the on-deck circle.
An on-deck circle instructional.
We did. A couple of them. We were kind of running out of material. Kind of doubled up, tripled up on some stuff.
There's a ground ball to Phillips. And the Gold Glover makes a play for out number 1. Herrera retired.
Yeah, some of the things that you have at your disposal in the on-deck circle. And also, the thought process, what you're thinking about when you're on the on-deck circle.
Well, there's a lot to learn over there, Rock. And who better to teach it than you? Because you know a lot.
I was wondering where that was going to end.
And a swing and a miss. Adam Lind. Say hello to our good buddies here today, the Lindowski family. Steve and his family.
Up here from Fenimore. Steve, a fantasy camper, Brewers fantasy camp. Second-year man this year coming up. See, you sign up for fantasy camp and you might even get your name mentioned on television.
That's right. Yeah, they've got a great program going as well. They lost their son Derek, and they have a Derek's Day at the ballpark. They've got a website. Kind enough to hand us a T-shirt. That's the website. Do it for Derek. It's very TV friendly, which Steve savvy on. So there's the second annual Derek's Day at the ballpark today. Cool shirt.
Early in the year.
Adam Lynn turns it around. A base hit to center.
Well struck against a left-handed pitcher. Sangrani tried to get him to chase the slider. He didn't, and had to come in with a fastball, and Adam hits it hard into center field. Pretty much straight over the top, and that kind of minimizes the advantage the left-hander has against a left-handed hitter. Nice easy swing for Lynn and a line drive into center field.
Well, Lynn, hard hit ball. Looks like he's got some excellent sock game going on tonight as well. He's kind of known as the guy with the best socks on the team. Usually when he's when he's dressed up on the planes and the hotels. I didn't know he carried it over to the game though. He's got the long pants. You never see that. But I caught a glimpse, Rock. Check it out. Oh, yes. Sporting the stylish socks there. Those are high end.
Those are sweet.
Oh, they're good luck tonight, too. He's got a walk and a hit. Davis at the plate tonight. Presented by Wendy's. RBI single in the third inning, which tied the game. Lynn gets a point for the Sox.
And hitting the baseball hard.
As Davis strikes out for the second out of the inning. He hit that ball 105.4 miles an hour. That is getting it. There are home runs that don't reach that kind of velocity off the bat. Yeah, so now I see what you're saying about.
You see, you're coming to my way of thinking. I knew you would. The longer you sat here and thought about it.
Begrudgingly coming over to your side of things. You're right. Now, if he hits the bottom of the baseball there, in the same swing, the same barrel of the bat, but just hits a quarter of an inch down.
Right.
That's a long home run to center field.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's a point. Rock's made a point, and Lynn gets a point. It's all making sense now. See, you know stuff.
They just can't get carried away with the results. I mean, the Reed Nichols' whole game is, take the results out of it.
Just do your job.
Do the job. What's that hand right here now? Santana's job is to hit the ball hard somewhere. Where it goes, he doesn't know.
Domingo drove in a pair in his first at bat. That was a double down the left field line. But the Brewers on the board first. And a high drive, right center field, way back. Goodbye. Domingo Santana with his sixth already for the Brewers. He's only been here a minute. He's got 6 home runs. Drives in 2 more, a 4 RBI night for Santana.
He's so strong, isn't he? I mean, he didn't even get good extension on that. Ball got back in his stance a little bit. Check it out. Oh, boy, is he strong. The ball just keeps going. Carries on out of here into the Reds bullpen. And gives the Brewers a 3-run lead. Wow.
Thunder in that bat.
Some kind of strong. Strong and has the leverage. He's 6'5", and kind of that Corey Hart, Richie Sexton leverage.
Yep. Well, you don't know what the arc of his major league career is going to be, but if he implements strike zone discipline, this guy is going to be a star. 102 miles per hour off the bat. But he had the elevation in the swing to hit it out of here. Anytime you approach the high 90s off the bat, you've barreled it. Lind went out 105 and Santana went all the way out at 102.
He's turned things around nicely the last couple of nights. Greg Counsell stuck with him through the tough times. He had a couple of games where he was having a very difficult time making contact. Game a day off. He's been out there the last 2 days, and look what he's been able to do. 2 hits last night. 2 hits tonight, a home run and 4 RBIs. That's what September baseball, when you're in a rebuild, is all about.
But you think about his year. If you combine all of his stops, he began the year in the Astros system. He was in AAA. He went to the big leagues briefly with Houston, had 2 homers with the Astros, got traded in the Gomez-Fires deal. Down in AAA for the Brewers, he hit 2 homers. So that's 26 home runs this season for Domingo Santana. And Segura strikes out to end the inning. However, it's Saturday, but it's Domingo's day today. 4 runs batted in, 6-3 Milwaukee.
Brewers on the Domingo Santana home run, a 2-run home run in the bottom of the 5th. Hey, Brewers on deck. 2016 is set for Sunday, January 31st at the Wisconsin Center in downtown Milwaukee. And if you purchase tickets for the Crew's annual Fan Fest by December 1st, you get a free ticket voucher for select 2016 April home games. For details, go to brewers.com/on-deck.
Already looking forward to it. That's a great time. What a party that is.
Be here before you know it.
A lot of fun when it's cold out. Taylor Youngman now staked to a 6-3 lead over the Reds. He's got Phillips starting it. Brandon Phillips, Todd Frazier, and Jay Bruce. Youngman giving up all 3 of his runs in the same inning in the 3rd, including a 2-run home run by Joey Votto. Phillips, a line drive to center field. Schaefer, oh, he can't get it. And Santana there to back him up wisely. And that keeps Phillips at first base. So a good effort by Schaefer and good help out there by Domingo Santana.
Yeah, nice job backing up. That certainly would have been a double had Santana not been there. A sinking liner out there in the center. Schaefer came close. He got it with the glove but not able to hold on. And fully stretching out right off the end of the fingers, and Brandon Phillips in with a leadoff single.
A base runner for Todd Frazier. Frazier tonight against Youngman is 0 for 2. A strikeout and a pop-up. Brewers lead 6-3. They have 8 hits. Home runs from Logan Schaefer and Domingo Santana. Snap throw over to Phillips.
And not sure if Phillips is going to try and run. Trying to keep him close. Maybe be able to turn a double play.
Big swing by Frazier. Both teams have bullpen activity. Jeffress trying to get, or rather Youngman trying to get through this 6th inning. Jeremy Jeffress is loosening in the Milwaukee pen. Fly ball, left field. Davis running out of room at the wall, and it's gone. Todd Frazier with a moon shot. Frazier with his 35th home run of the season. And it's a game again. Back to a 1-run lead for Milwaukee.
And Taylor Youngman having a difficult time holding leads his last couple of starts. And Brewers put 2 on the board, or actually a single run in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, to give him a 3-run lead. And with nobody out, Todd Frazier hits a 2-run homer.
He thought he popped it up. He thought it was an out.
Yeah.
Slams the bat. Says, hey, wait a minute.
Ball carrying pretty well tonight, even with the glass panels closed. Roof's open here at Miller Park.
I wonder when the reaction changed for Frazier, when he realized it was actually going to go out.
Just about the time he touched first base, I would imagine.
Probably. So check him out. Oh man, missed it.
That ball got in on him too. That's how quick his hands are in there. And let's see. Yep, first base.
Oh, see?
I told you it was a home run.
Do it all the time. Crushed it. In case you're wondering and you're tracking the hit speeds with us, that went out at 93.9. About as low as you can go to hit one out of a ballpark.
Just
low
kept,
90s.
Just kept going. Had good backspin on it. Just as strong as he is, doesn't have to get good extension or hit him on the sweet spot all the time, particularly in this ballpark.
I wonder what the slowest exit velocity is on a home run this year. I'm sure we have the data somewhere. I believe Giancarlo Stanton has the highest exit velocity on a home run. That was 121 or maybe 123. Hard hit ball. Oh, look at this play. Jeanette, it pops up out of his glove. And Bruce will reach. That was a great play by Jeanette, but couldn't get to his feet with the ball.
I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make the play anyway. A nice dive. Got it in the glove. When he hit the ground, it popped out. Even through the shift. Boom, pops out. And Jay Bruce with a base hit. That's going to be it for Taylor Youngman. He got hit hard in his 6th inning.
And Counsell on his way out to make a change. So he started the inning with a 6-3 lead. Now it's 6-5. And the tying run is on with nobody out. 3 hits to start the frame. Youngman's night is over. 5+ for Taylor. Pitching change coming. We're in the 6th at Miller Park, and the Brewers lead by a run. Light, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. And by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. Well, this is a hitterish kind of night. Ball traveling well. Taylor Youngman is out of the game. 5+ innings for Youngman, giving him 5 runs. And he still has a chance to win the game, but the bullpen going to have to take it the rest of the way. And first up is Jeremy Jeffress with a runner at first base. Nobody out in the 6th inning.
And yet another relatively short start by the rotation. There's been piling up as of late. The bullpen has been eating up a lot of innings as of late. Jeremy's 66th appearance, a perfect 5-0 record, and a 269 earned run average for Jeffress.
Eugenio Suarez at the plate. Hard throwing Jeremy Jeffress misses outside.
Yeah, last pitched on Tuesday against the Cardinals. Tossed a scoreless inning. Giving up 2 earned runs is all in his last 18 appearances. He's been very good.
Swing and a miss. 1-1 the count. Grounded to short. Tough hop. Segura pops in and out of his glove, and the throw is a bad one. And what should have been a double play ball, the Brewers don't get anybody.
That's been a problem for the Brewers the last few games. Yeah, not able to turn the double plays, and you can't win close games when you do that. Well, wasn't sure whether to charge it and get the short hop or lay back on it and get the long hop in between hop. See right there, a little undecided, and he can't get anybody. Good play by Lynn to keep it in front of him. Or that might have been worse.
It'll be an E6. First and second. Nobody out. 2 runs are in. And here is Tucker Barnhart.
Interesting at bunt here in the 6th inning. And nobody out. You got a pinch hitter on deck.
Brian Pena looks like he'll hit next. Gets the bunt down. Jeffress has only 1 play. Out number 1 on a sacrifice bunt from Barnhart.
I still can't figure out why you would do that, right? I mean, down by 1. You're here in the 6th inning. Maybe you're looking for a huge inning. You can understand. Number 9 hitters up, but well, Brian Price is playing for a couple of runs here.
Giving the Brewers an out. And now Jeffress with runners at 2nd and 3rd. Brian Pena announced as the pinch hitter. Pena's been out with a hamstring injury. Pinch hit last night. He's not running well. He doesn't hit homers, but he is a good hitter. Switch hitter, hitting .281 this year. Usually makes contact.
He had 343 plate appearances, but only 17 17 RBIs. Not many. Played a lot. The Brewers playing the infield back.
Jeffress working early tonight, pitching in the 6th inning. And a ground ball that's going to get a run home. And Pena is out. The sacrifice bunt sets up a run.
Well, Brian Price knows what he's doing. He knows his club.
We're all tied up.
Yep, a 3-run 6 for the Reds at this point.
2 3-run innings for the Reds. Costly error by Segura. Top of the order here is Bourgeois. Well, both starters will not factor in the decision tonight. Smith off the hook for the loss, and Youngman no chance at a win. This one belongs to the bullpen. Top of the 6th inning with 2 away. Runner at 3rd for Bourgeois, and a fly ball. Shallow right. Santana is there. Side retired. 6-6 ball game. Brewers are coming up. Up another 3-run inning, 6-6 game, bottom 6. And a reminder that tomorrow you can help the Brewers Community Foundation stuff the bus with winter gear for students in need attending Milwaukee public schools. Bring your new or gently used hats, scarves, gloves, and mittens. All fans making a donation or contributing $5 to the cause will receive a commemorative Chris Davis pin. Plus, look for the Fox Sports Wisconsin Fan Express bus to drop off your items. Details at foxsportswisconsin.com. Ryan Matthews on the mound for Cincinnati. He's the third Reds pitcher. The split finger specialist.
He's got fastball low to mid-90s and a slider to go with the splitter. 466 earned run average in his 50th appearance.
Logan Schaefer, who had a home run his last time up to give the Brewers the lead, trying to bunt his way on. No balls and a strike. Schaefer, Maldonado, and then the pitcher spot. We'll see what Counsell does. He's got Jeffress in there now.
Yeah, Will Smith getting loose. He's starting to throw down in that Brewers pen.
Phillips for out number 1. Saw good friends earlier tonight. John and Robin Barnes here in the booth. Always great to see them. Robin does great work for the Brewers and fun to catch up.
Yeah, known the Barnes for, oh man, it's got to be 25 years. They both worked here at one point.
They're the kind of Brewers fans that not only work for the Brewers, but when they have an off day, they come to the games as fans and wear jerseys. They love the Brewers.
Yeah.
It's good to see them. Maldonado trying to get something going here in the 6th inning. Looks like Jeffress might get an at-bat. He's on deck.
Yeah, 2 outs and nobody on. Why not, right? Keep Jeffress out there for another inning. Brewers get something going, you might see a pinch hitter.
And Maldonado draws the walk. So Martinez aboard. That's going to affect the decision of Counsell. Instead of Jeffress getting his first major league at bat in his career, Luis Sardinas will come off the bench to switch hitter. He was that close. Good job. Good job, JJ.
He was hoping.
Wonder whose bat he stole.
Yeah, relief pitchers don't get to take batting practice. Especially late inning relievers.
So you know I was about to do some damage too. They're lucky.
You think Young can hit? Where do you see me?
It wouldn't surprise me either.
No.
So it's Sardinas with one away. It's been a lot of focus on the recent prospects acquired via trade this year at the trade deadline. But remember, Sardinas coming to the Brewers this offseason in the Gallardo deal. A slick fielding shortstop who can play third and second, and a switch hitter.
Yeah, Brewers have a lot of middle infielders, don't they? Garcia down in the minor leagues. You got Sardinha, Segura, Jeanette. You wonder what the thought is in the offseason this year with the Brewers. How they handle that logjam.
Well, the shortstop position is much desired around baseball. There aren't many teams that have the depth the Brewers have at the shortstop position, and I would imagine they'd be getting a lot of phone calls about it. Maldonado takes off on a pitch in the dirt and he's thrown out. No, he's safe. I beg your pardon. They're going to replay it here. Probably take a look. Maldonado had a good slide to get out of it.
Pitts didn't get too far away from Barnhart. Maldonado with the secondary lead, and Brian Price wants a review. That ball didn't get away by much. Not a very good throw, but did they get him? One of the second base umpire, DJ Rayburn, he missed him.
Suarez looked like he got hit in the face by the shoe of Maldonado. Check this out.
He got him. Got him on the leg. Yep.
Kicked him on the side of the face. Maybe some dirt in the eye. Yeah, maybe it wasn't a kick. Something went in his eye.
It's going to be a caught stealing. This shouldn't take very long.
I hope not. Joe West, the crew chief, is over there with the calling umpire, DJ Rayburn. Want to know how good our technology is? You can see the dirt go into his eye. Look at that.
Yep. Big clump. And he's out.
So Joe West gets the sign, calls him out, or gets the word from New York. That was a quick and easy review.
Yep, 2-6 on the put out. Maldonado caught stealing. Yep, right there on the right on the side of the knee.
You can see all that dirt fly up in his eyes. All right, so 2 outs in the inning. So you had a pitcher on deck that would have hit had there been 2 outs and nobody on. Maldonado trying to make something out of it. Good effort, but comes up short. And now Sardinha trying to get something going with 2 outs, but you've lost Jeffress now.
Yeah. Well, the pitch did not get away too far from Barnhart, and Maldonado doesn't run well anyway, so it probably should have stayed at first.
And Sardinha hanging tough, 2-2 the count. A lot of offense tonight. 6 runs, 8 hits for both teams. Brewers have an error tonight. And Sardinha strikes out. So the inning is over. We go to the 7th. All tied at 6 at Miller Park on a Saturday night.
It's tonight's time of the game winner. Watertown Bowl 18 in Watertown, as they call the Brewers, in the next 24 hours. They get 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets to an April or May 2016 Brewers home game. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
Looks like a good spot to hang out on a Saturday night. Will Smith is the new pitcher, appearance number 70 this season.
Yep, a 288 earned run average for Will. A 6-2 record, more strikeouts and innings pitched for Smith. Well, he's hung in there pretty good this year in the second half. He had a rough second half last year. A little bit of a hiccup for a couple of games, but he's bounced back nicely. Last pitched on Tuesday and put up a scoreless inning. Gave up a hit, but struck out a batter. Leads the Brewers in appearances for the second straight season.
He led the National League in games pitched last year, and he is 2 off that mark this year. Segrist of the Cardinals is the league leader. Skip Schumacher at the plate to start the inning. Smith following up Jeremy Jeffress, who came in for Youngman last inning. So Counsell's going to his late relief early tonight. We're in the 7th. You normally see Jeffress and Smith work the 7th and the 8th, but Counsell had to go get him in the 6th and the 7th tonight, and hoping one of these guys will be able to go multiples. I doubt you'd have Smith go multiple innings. Didn't miss by much. 3-1 to count.
Yeah, first 2 hitters in the inning are left-handed. Schumacher, Votto. That's why you see Smith out there. That one just missed.
There's a strike. 3-2 the count. And another one just missed. So Schumacher very patient, and he draws the walk ahead of Votto. Never a good thing. Back to our CarSoup.com trivia question. Which 4 active major league players have had 3 seasons of at least 100 walks? Votto's on the list. Pujols, Fielder, Bautista. That's a good list to be on. Some of the premier sluggers in the game.
Yep. Patient at the plate. Pitchers are not willing to throw him strikes in certain situations, so one goes with the other ordinarily.
Votto hit a 2-run homer earlier tonight. Down the left field line, foul. Votto always among league leaders in walks. 132 walks this season. He is close to a career best.
He had 47 last year. He was hurt most of the year.
Chokes up on the bat with 2 strikes.
The walks are amazing, but the more amazing thing for me with Votto and watching him swing the bat against the Brewers. That's the only time really we see him. He struck out 116 times. I mean, he looks like a guy that hardly ever strikes out. The way he chokes up on that bat. And there's nobody in baseball that chokes up even close to that much.
And he lays off a breaking ball. I just love the way he approaches his at-bats. He's always in focus mode. He never, the old phrase, he doesn't give away at-bats. He's put together an impressive season. Got an OPS over 1,000. Actually over 1,200. Slugging percentage of .560, on base percentage of .461, which is a little over 145 points over his batting average. Hit his 28th home run of the year earlier tonight, and he fouls that one away, slicing in the seats.
He grinds out at bats more than just about anybody in the big leagues. At least he shows it anyway. He'll stand up there talking to himself between pitches. There you see him, reminding him of what he's got to do.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Did he go? Yes, he did. Will Smith strikes out Votto.
There you go.
Well, that's a big victory. Strike out a guy like that. So Votto's gone. First out of the inning. Still a runner at first base.
He was giving him fastballs and sliders. This time gave him a curveball out of the zone. Votto couldn't hold up. 117 strikeouts now. That's a big one for Smith.
Now Brandon Phillips. Singled and scored in the 6th inning. And a line drive to right. Santana. Oh, he lost it in the lights. Schumacher to second base. Santana lost it. There's a ribbon board that sometimes gets you, and Santana, who hasn't been in the big leagues long, totally lost that one. He was right there too. It almost hit him.
Well, you see it for about as long as it gets out there. You lose it really quickly. Sometimes you'll find it again, but he just lost it. It's going to be another error, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly he turned his head away because he had no idea where the baseball was. He saw it most of the way out there. That's a tough break for Will Smith.
They're going to score that as a hit. Kind of like losing it in the sun. That's all part of the big league experience, though. And as you, the more you play in the big leagues, you're going to have to deal with ballpark surroundings. Eventually, he'll make that play. You got to get yourself positioned to do it, though, I guess.
Well, he's used to playing right field, left field. The lights are a lot nicer here at these major league ballparks.
2 on, 1 out for Frazier. Homered his last time up. There's a strike.
Good breaking pitch. Curveball seems to be working better than the slider tonight for Will Smith.
Tell you, these two teams down at the bottom of the National League Central, they've had some long games, deep counts. Starting to see the pitching just in general, especially with so many rookies in the rotations for these two teams, has Smith gets Frazier on a swing and a miss. 2-2 now. But that September baseball starting to show up with these two teams, especially on the mound. Reds have an entire rotation of rookies.
Brewers have a fair amount of them themselves.
Brewers have 3 rookies in their rotation. Davies one of them. Pitched last night. Pena and Youngman.
3 runs in 6 innings for Zach Davies last night.
Full count, 2 on. Frazier at the plate and a swing and a miss. A strikeout. Maldonado able to keep it in front. And Frazier asking the umpire if it was a foul ball. It was not. That's a strikeout for Smith. Out number 2.
Good breaking pitch. He's got a good one tonight. Yeah, the curved ball's been a good pitch for him. That one down. Good block by Maldonado, saving a couple of bases. Would have been second and third.
So 2 men are out. Still 2 men on. 6-6 game. Jay Bruce at the plate. And a strike on the corner. This is the matchup for Will Smith that he has to win. Lefty on lefty. Although this year, statistically, he's been better against right-handed hitters. One ball, 1 strike. 1-2. A steady diet of off speed for Will Smith here tonight.
For everybody, just right-handers and left-handers alike. Sliders and curveballs.
Well, what does he do here? Schumacher at second, Phillips at first, and Maldonado wants to head out to chat.
And maybe Maldonado wanted to waste the fastball, maybe try to get him to chase up in the zone. An animated discussion. Both of them pretty adamant about what they're thinking. Pitcher always wins that battle, though.
And a good catcher will let the pitcher win that battle.
Right. Don't make him throw a pitch he doesn't believe in.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Smith deals it. And a fastball called. Strike 3. 97-mile-an-hour fastball. How about Will Smith? Not just 3 punch-outs. Big name punch-outs. First Votto. And then Frazier on a slider. And then he gassed up Jay Bruce to end the inning. Still tied at 6. right, let's get you caught up here. Joey Votto, a booming home run in the 3rd inning. That gave the Reds a 3-2 lead at the time. But then Logan Schaefer, his first home run of the year, put the Crew ahead. It was a 4-3 game after that home run by Schaefer. Domingo Santana got into the act. His 6th homer, now 4 RBIs for the game for Santana. But then Todd Frazier goes deep. You're getting the idea of what's going on here tonight. They're playing long ball at Miller Park. Reds with 2 3-run innings. And we are tied at 6. Will Smith, impressive. 3 strikeouts in the frame. Votto, Frazier, and Bruce. Strands 2 runners. And here we go to the home 7th. New pitcher is Manny Parra, the former Brewer. Scooter Gennett will lead off. And on the first pitch, a ground ball to Phillips. Out number 1.
So Manny in last night's ball game, 36th appearance for Manny Parra. He's been on the DL 3 different times this year. One of 3 left-handers down in that bullpen. The Reds have now used 2. Tossed 2/3 scoreless in last night's game.
Parra had a neck injury earlier this season, and then had trouble with his left elbow in the middle of the summer, left shoulder most recently. Elian Herrera, the switch hitter, singled, stole a base, and scored a run in the 1st inning. 1 for 3 tonight. Checking the scoreboard around the big leagues, the Minnesota Twins are in danger of getting swept in a doubleheader today by the Angels. Angels won the first game of that doubleheader by a final of 4-3 in 12 innings, and the Angels lead 5-1 in the second game. Mike Trout has hit his 39th home run of the year.
They got rained out yesterday, had to play a doubleheader, and it's always difficult if you're the Twins. You're thinking you want to win both games. Tough to do in a doubleheader. Looks like the Angels might do it to them.
Yeah, and the Angels are behind the Twins in the American League wild card race. Got a chance to pass them with a victory in the second game of that doubleheader. Both teams on the outside looking in, trailing the Astros. Little cue shot, knocked down. Votto recovers, race to the bag, and Herrera's out. Two outs.
Yeah, Votto plays about as far off of the first base line as any first baseman in baseball, because he does have the mobility to get to the line. A little squiver in that direction, knocks it down, and Parra able to get there in time to get the out.
Close,
just barely.
Close play, perfect feed. You all right with the head first slide there, or should you run through in that spot?
Most of the time you're told to run through the bag, but you know, sometimes these guys can run and they think it's quicker to slide.
And any throw off the mark, it takes the tag away from the.
Right, that's the only time you slide into first base. I mean, only time you should, when you're trying to avoid a tag. It has been proven that you get there quicker when you're running through the base.
Don't you think it makes it tougher on the defender to run through it, especially for a pitcher coming over there?
And he might knock the ball out of his glove as you go by. You never know.
Parra with 2 outs. He's in a 2-0 count on Adam Lind.
The other part about sliding head first, you might get stepped on. You know, those cleats jamming into the back of your hand like that, or you jam a finger into the bag.
I think we are generally against sliding at first base.
Right.
Votto didn't panic. Gets the out. And Lynn takes a strike. He was guessing, I think. Fastball in there, strike 2. 2-2 on Adam. 6-6 game. Reds have out hit the Brewers 9-8. Back and forth they go here tonight. Twice the Brewers have had leads. There's a shot right off Parra. Hits him and ricochets into center field. A base hit. Well, another bullet off the bat of Adam Lind.
And another hit against the left-hander. If that ball doesn't hit Manny Parra, Suarez is going to be waiting for it. He was right behind the bag. It hits Manny in the back and ricochets into center field.
Athletic trainer coming out to check on Parra. Got him right in the hammy.
Suarez right there. Would have been an out.
Not a lot of time to react. That line drive coming right back at him.
Yep.
Says he's fine, and everybody will head back. Boy, Lind's really hit the ball hard tonight. He's walked, had a single to center field in the 5th inning that came off the bat at 105 miles an hour. That was up there, I'm guessing.
That was off of Cingrani, the first one. This one off another left-hander, Manny Parra.
So a 2-out base runner for Chris Davis. Parra has that great splitter. It was always a good pitch when he was a starter with the Brewers. There's Davis, 22 homers, 3 behind Ryan Braun on the Powerball home run leaderboard. No balls, 2 strikes. And Davis turns it around. Down and in, breaking ball, and now Lind on his way to third. He's in there.
Boy.
How about Adam Lind?
That's some good aggressive base running by Lind. A little risky with 2 outs. Jason Bourgeois not blessed with a very good throwing arm, and Adam Lind able to get into third base.
Oh, you like the aggressiveness. Davis whistles one back up the middle.
Splitter. Watch Lind. Bourgeois taking his time. He's got the baseball. He fools Bourgeois. He doesn't think there's any way he's going to go to third. And the throw's off the mark.
A base runner deep. Now Brian Price will take the ball from Parra. Back-to-back 2-out hits for the Crew. Now they threaten here in a 6-6 game. A pitching change coming up for the Reds. moment. 2 RBI double in his first at bat. That was in the first inning tonight. Put the Brewers on the board early. And then Santana driving one over the wall in right center field. A 2-run home run for Domingo. That was in the 5th. 4 RBIs tonight, and he'll step back in there with a chance to give the Brewers the lead.
And he's got the sinker bowler, former Brewer Burke Badenhop out on the mound. 62nd appearance for Badenhop. 21 walks, 31 strikeouts in 61 innings. Gets a lot of ground ball outs. And Badenhop with that 384 earned run average, and he's had a pretty good run since the end of April. He got off to a terrible start in April, but has been pretty good since.
2 outs in the inning. A couple of former Brewers on the mound for Cincinnati. Parra then Badenhop, and there's a base hit. Santana to right. Lind will score. Davis stopped around second. Santana gives the Brewers a 7-6 lead. I think Chris Davis might be hurt.
Yeah, he stumbled around second base and decided he better go back. Not sure what he did. Maybe it's that knee, that surgically repaired knee. Not sure what it is, but he did not look good once he hit second base. But Santana able to find the hole and into right field. His 5th RBI. Brewers take the lead. Let's see if we can see what happens to Chris Davis. Everything's okay there. And right about here is when he had some problems.
I think he missed the bag first.
Maybe turned an ankle.
Favoring that right leg. That's the leg he had surgery on, the right knee. And athletic trainer Dave Yeager's out with Craig Counsell, going to make him prove that he can run. Shaking out the right knee, says he's all right.
He wants to stay in there. I have a feeling if it was the knee that he tweaked, he would be out of the game.
Right.
It might be an ankle. Let's check it out. Does he touch first, second base? Looks like he got the bag right there. Maybe turned his ankle.
Yep.
And he has to get back to second base quickly. Good thing he didn't try to go to third, because Jay Bruce would have thrown him out.
Well, fortunate that no injury there. Domingo Santana with a career high 5 runs batted in. Gives the Brewers a 7-6 lead. What a night he's having.
Yeah. All coming with 2 outs and nobody on in this inning.
Segura in the air to right. Jay Bruce will settle under it, and that will retire the side. But how about Domingo Santana? Big game tonight. Career high 5 runs batted in on 3 hits. The Brewers lead once again. RBI hit. And as promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. You can tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag #WishDataStrongFan. It's all brought to you by T-Mobile, and there's Dina. Dina's on the left.
Dina's on the left.
Dina's on the left.
Dina and Hank.
Dina and Hank. Haven't seen Hank much. I mean the real Hank.
Yeah.
I think he's in retirement. After winning, he's the dog of the year, you know, last year. So he's out. All right, so Peterson will enter the game in left field. Davis is out. Sophia's down there. We'll see if we can get an update. Don't know if that's injury related or defense related. We'll find out. Tyler Cravey's on the mound.
Yeah, bottom of the Reds order coming up. So Craig Counsell going with Tyler Cravey, who last pitched on Wednesday, right here against the Cardinals, and put up 2 scoreless innings. Gave up a hit, a walk, and a couple of strikeouts.
Well, Craig Counsell said he wants a bullpen of flexible roles. I'm sure Cravey never imagined he'd be in a setup role this season. First ball swinging, knocked down by Herrera. Saves an extra base hit, however. That's a leadoff single by Eugenio Suarez.
Yeah, this is where not being able to get through the 6th inning for Taylor Youngman hurts the Brewers as they progress through the game. It should have been Jefferson the 7th, Smith in the 8th, and then K-Rod to close it out, but they had to mix and match, and now it's going to be Cravey to try and navigate his way through the 8th inning. That's going to be a base hit.
Tucker Barnhart now takes a strike. Cravey's been a starter. Actually made his major league debut against the Cardinals and had a starter. His first big league start was in St. Louis, and he pitched well. 7 innings, 1 run. Had some elbow problems that put him on the disabled list for a couple of weeks. Coming back in the bullpen, and high leverage position he's in right now. Tyler Cravey. Oh-2 pitch coming, and a called strike 3. Barnhart is arguing with the home plate umpire, and he's close to being run. They let him bark a little bit, does Rob Drake. Out he goes.
Probably saying, I've been back there all night. That hadn't been a strike once all night. Rings him up on it. Let's check it out. Boy, that's a little too close to take with 2 strikes, don't you think? Looks like Fox Tracks had it on the plate.
Don't leave it in the umpire's hands. I mean, that's a strike.
Right.
Either way you slice it. First out of the inning. That's a big one for Cravey. Now he's got Adam Duvall pinch hitting, who started at first base last night while Votto served the suspension. This guy's got some power. Matter of fact, his first 3 hits in the major leagues were homers.
Yeah, he hit a double and an RBI last night.
No balls and a strike. Cravey looking for a ground ball here to get him out of it. A swing and a miss. A mighty hack.
Right through it. Outer half. 92 miles an hour. He's got a good off speed pitch. Good changeup. Let's see if he goes to it.
No balls, 2 strikes. Cravey, a strike thrower, had that reputation coming up in the Brewers minor league system. Command of all his pitches. Nothing overpowering necessarily, but he's got guts. Willing to throw all of his pitches in any count, and that's what has made him a success and gotten him to the big leagues. One and two. Duvall at the plate. Suarez at first. And he got him. Defensive swing there for the second strikeout for Tyler Cravey. 2 gone.
How about that? Second time in a row he's carved off the outside corner to get a strikeout. Barnhart looking on the outside corner. This time Duvall with a excuse me swing to get him.
Let's check in with Sophia. She's got an update on Chris Davis. What do you have, Sophia?
Yeah, Chris Davis left the game with a twisted right ankle, and the Brewers clubhouse saying that he is day-to-day. So we'll get an update for you after the game.
All right, thanks, Sophia. Brewers Live coming up following this one. And, get that update. Craig Kashan, Jerry Augustine will have it for you tonight. 2 outs in the inning after a leadoff single. Back-to-back Ks. Bourgeois takes low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Frankie Rodriguez going through his warm-up ritual down there. Fly ball, shallow right, long run, Jeanette, and Jeanette can't get there. Santana to back it up. And that'll be a base hit for Bourgeois. 1st and 3rd for the Reds.
Right off the end of the bat, and he put it in a pretty good spot, didn't he? That was a good effort by Scooter Jeanette. He shaded up the middle, almost able to get there. You can see where he's playing. He's up the middle, and that ball just a floater down the right field line. Missed it by about a foot. Back up by Santana to keep Bourgeois at first. Man, inches. Would have been a great play.
Runners at the corners now. Skip Schumacher at the plate. Joey Votto is on deck. And Maldonado able to keep that one in front.
Got to get this guy.
And don't think Schumacher doesn't know that either. He knows he's going to get some strikes here. Tyler Cravey working in a setup role. Jeffers got through the 6th. Smith the 7th, and now Cravey trying to help set it up for K-Rod perhaps. There's a strike. Tying run at 3rd. Go ahead run over at 1st. And a swing and a miss. That sneaky fastball by Cravey gets right by Schumacher.
Look at that. That's a lot of the plate. That was a good pitch for Schumacher, and tried to hit that one out of the ballpark. Man, be alive now to see Bourgeois tries to take off. And pretty good speed on the bases. Maybe try and steal a run. I think they're just going to let him go.
Cravey has a chance to strike out the side. The 1-2 pitch in the air. Another little flare. Long run. Peterson shallow, and it falls between all 3. And injuries all over. That's Herrera and Peterson down hard. A run scores to tie the game, and Peterson and Herrera are both injured badly. That did not look good. Just a great effort by all three chasing that ball. Somehow Segura made it out of there. Herrera hasn't hardly moved. Peterson is clutching at his right knee. Man, 2 flares for the Reds have allowed them to tie this game, and now the Brewers have 2 injured players on the field.
Yeah, about the only spots that they could have hit it where it would have landed on the grass for base hits. Tough break for Tyler Craven. A tough break for Peterson and Herrera. What a great efforts on both their parts.
The knee went right into the ribs of Herrera, it looked like. Right there on the hip, maybe. Oh, just a violent collision. You can see the anguish right away for both of them.
Ball lands right in the middle of all 3 of them. The knee right into Herrera, and you can see why Peterson's down. That right knee right into the hip of Ilian Herrera. It was fortunate there weren't any heads banging together in that whole thing. Brewers athletic crew has been athletic training corps has been very busy the last few days. The Jimmy Nelson situation. Now you got 2 guys down on the field.
Well, they're able to get Herrera on his back. Peterson still being attended to the right knee.
Looks like they're going to call for a stretcher.
Yeah, this feels like something major, something serious for Ilian Herrera. You could understand when you look at the impact of Peterson's knee right into his hip. This is not good. Peterson is up. Ilian Herrera not so fortunate. 2 guys giving it all they got.
Dan Wright is telling the emergency crew what's going on and where it hurts and what to avoid. Techniques as to how to move him onto the gurney, the stretcher, without making matters worse. I think Craig Counsell is trying to tell Peterson, you're done too. Maybe not.
You feel for Ilian Herrera. It's been a year of comebacks for him. He was on the big league roster, taken off the roster, but he accepted an assignment at AAA with the Brewers because he thought he had a better chance to make it back to the major leagues with Milwaukee. Went down to AAA, did a great job there, and he did earn his way back to the major leagues. Got put back on the roster, and it looks like his season might be ending here on the grass in left field at Miller Park. That is Brewers team doctor, Dr. Neidfeld, Mark Neidfeld on his way out to enter into the discussion here. Just something you hate to see. Amazingly, Peterson is up and walking and looks like he's going to be able to remain in the game. See Scooter Gennett there. He and Herrera have gotten close this year and working at second base and spending a lot of time taking ground balls together. A lot of concern for Gennett as well.
He's got to make sure he's secure on the stretcher and so that nothing moves when they lift him onto the cart.
Just the expression on Craig Counsell's face gives you an idea that this is a very serious injury, and obviously with the stretcher out, you know it's bad, but Counsell with a very pained look on his face. Everybody shares the same look. Never want to see this. These players, they play with the realization that they're a split second away from a major injury.
It's amazing this stuff doesn't happen more often, the way these guys fly around the ballpark and trying to make plays like that. You see it all the time, but they're athletic enough to be able to avoid contact. That was just one of those things. Three guys coming together all at the same time.
Just writhing in pain there. You just feel for him.
A lot of things going through his head right now. Playing so well since he's been called up, playing about every day.
You never want to leave the field this way, and we're hoping the best for Elian Herrera. This looks like something very serious. Crowd comes to their feet, respecting the effort.
Well, it looks like Shane Peterson is leaving the field. They want to check him out to make sure there isn't any damage to that knee area.
Counsell is going to bring on Hernan Perez. So a little flare, and two Brewers will have to leave the field. Elian Herrera will exit on a ambulance cart, on a stretcher.
Well, the only outfielder remaining for the Brewers, Ryan Braun. Let's see if he's going to go out there. But it looks like Jason Rogers is going to go out to left field. So apparently Ryan Braun not available tonight.
There's Ryan Braun. Tightness in his back. Well, it's going to be a long night for Elian Herrera. And we're thinking about him, his family. Paramedics getting Elian secured in there. The Brewers team doctor, Mark Neatfelt, is standing to the side. Looks like athletic trainer Dan Wright, head athletic trainer, is going to go with him in transport. And another trip to the hospital coming for a Milwaukee Brewer, which is going to be the second in the last 3 nights. Elian Herrera. On his way out. And with the kind of care that they were tending to him with, you have to feel like it is a very serious and a major injury. Jimmy Nelson just got back to the Brewers after 2 nights in the hospital after that line drive to the head. So we'll get back to the business of baseball here, which is not easy when you see a player go off on a golf cart. Rogers will enter the game as the left fielder. Perez will come in as the third baseman. The game is tied 7-7. Joey Votto is the batter, and with runners at second and third, they will walk Votto to get to Brandon Phillips.
And once you get back to baseball, you can't hardly believe the 2 base hits the Reds got to tie this ball game. Good pitches by Cravey. One down the right field line, the other down the left field line. And the Reds in position to take the lead here.
And that'll load him up. So Votto is aboard. Votto second only to Goldschmidt in intentional walks. Goldschmidt with 27 this season. And here's Brandon Phillips now with the bases loaded. Cravey was throwing a little bit during the delay. We will effort any news we can get on Elian Herrera before the night is over. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Cravey trying to get the Brewers to the dugout, tied now. He's been great with the bases loaded throughout his career. .351 hitter.
And he's
ball, 1 strike.
Had hits in his last 2 at bats. Well, you feel sorry for Tyler Cravey. The pitches that he made to try and get some outs both ended up into the outfield, and Red's able to tie it up. Well, he's pitched well tonight.
Two flares, 3 straight hits. Or 3 straight base runners, I should say. And Phillips slices it foul. One and 2 the count. And a slow curve misses. Flipped it up there at 79 miles an hour.
Yeah, just missed that outside corner. Good pitch. And now maybe try and bust him inside.
do it again. Another 2-2 coming. Bourgeois over at third base. Got a single. Schumacher at second. Otto at first. Little jam shot. And Jeanette, man, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
2 runs are going to score. The last 3 hits for the Reds, all jam shots. I mean, barely even hits, and they all do damage. And the Reds now lead at 9-7.
Yeah, the way it's been going for the Brewers. They make good pitch, they get hits. Just unfortunate for Tyler Cravey. He deserves a better fate. That was a good pitch on the inside corner. And then Phillips looking into the Brewers dugout all giddy. Knocking one or dumping one into right field.
And Frazier pops this one up, and that will retire the side. Or the Reds, they found a stroke of luck here in the 8th inning. 3 flares fall, and they lead it 9-7 now.
The air went onto the bubble, no question about that, when Elian Herrera was carted off the field moments ago after that nasty collision, Augie. And then the Brewers give up the lead in that inning. Very bizarre, this game of baseball. The Brewers were leading in that inning. It looked like they were going to cruise through there, and then all you-know-what breaks loose after that.
Yeah, some flare-type hits, and that happens. You know, one thing we talk about when you have runners in scoring position, if you can put the ball in play, funny things happen. I'll tell you, Tyler Cravey made some great pitches. Funny things did happen that inning.
Well, we'll cover that inning and plenty more, see if the Brew Crew can rally here. It's been that type of night, so don't underestimate what's left here in this ball game. We'll hear from Craig Counsell, get an injury update as well on Herrera and Shane Peterson when Brewers Live follows this game. Brian?
All right, Craig and Augie, thanks. You see Bourgeois moving over to left field. Lamar is the new center fielder. And the new pitcher is J.J. Hoover, now pitching with a 9-7 lead in the 8th inning.
Well, and again, just like last night, this is the inning where you got to get something done. You got Chapman sitting in that bullpen for the 9th. Really good numbers for the setup man for the Reds. 235 earned run average in now 65 appearances. And an 8-1 record out of the bullpen. That's incredible. 8 wins out of the bullpen.
Well, the Reds have a roll. Chapman looming large in that bullpen. He's got the save situations. So this 8th inning is of utmost importance for the Brewers. Chapman starting to get loose. Brewers had a 7-6 lead. The Reds have scored 3 runs in 3 different innings tonight. They've never had 3 runs like that before. I guarantee it. with 2 outs. 3 flares that all fall. And producing all 3 of those runs. Phillips driving in 2 with the flare into right center. Called strike 3. Schaefer is rung up. So in case you missed it, the 3 hits that produced the 3-run 8th. Look at this. That's Bourgeois with 2 outs, so that falls. And then Schumacher, that falls, and Peterson and Herrera both injured, both out of the game. Herrera left in an ambulance. And then this little snort into right center produced 2 runs.
And the inning started with an infield hit. That's the way it goes, though. You know, you put the ball in play, is all you was talking about. You put the ball in play, don't strike out, and you never know what can happen. Sometimes you get lucky, and the Reds certainly did.
Well, been a ton of hits tonight. Each club with double-digit hit totals, combining for 24 hits in this game.
And once again, the Brewers not able to hold a lead. That happened in Pittsburgh. Had a 6-3 lead tonight, not able to hold it. Youngman's had a difficult time holding leads the last couple of starts.
Two and 2 to Maldonado. And down he goes. J.J. Hoover with a strikeout. 2 up, 2 down. And here comes Jason Rogers. Now the left fielder came in for Shane Peterson. And a shot back up the middle. Rogers with a base hit, and that'll bring the tying run to the plate. This guy just continues to hit. He's been impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, got a fastball out over the plate. First pitch, and able to hit it hard into center. Well, the Brewers able to pick up a run in the last inning with 2 outs and nobody on. Got 3 consecutive hits to score a run to take the lead. Let's see if they can get something going. That brings the top of the order up.
Let's see if Scooter Gennett can make a memory here. Down 2, bottom of the 8th. He's the tying run. Hernan Perez would hit next. And a strike.
Good curveball. He's got a good curve, good changeup. Average fastball.
Showed bunt and takes a strike. A fastball. 0-2 on Gennett. Fights it off. Let's see if the Brewers can wrestle it back here. I'm sure their thoughts are divided right now. Thinking about Elian Herrera. You get close to your teammates. Herrera had to leave in an ambulance cart. Looked like a severe leg injury of some kind.
You got to stay focused, win a game. Stuff happens.
One ball, 2 strikes. Hoover's come in, thrown a lot of strikes. And a called strike 3 to end the inning. Jeanette is out. The Brewers are done in the 8th. We go to the 9th with the Reds up 9-7.
Brought to you by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. We are in the 9th here at Miller Park. The Brewers trailing the Reds 9-7, and on a night when the Brewers have lost 3 players to injury. If you're looking for some good news, we're going to check in with the Biloxi Shuckers. They did win Game 3 tonight, a score of 2-0. Tyler Wagner, a great outing for him on the mound, 6 2/3 shutout innings. You see the 8 strikeouts there on 109 pitches. Yadiel Rivera, a great night at the plate as well, 3 for 4. Michael Reed drove in one of those runs, going 1 for 2. So the Shuckers will lead that series now 2-1.
All right, great update there, Sophia. Thank you for that. Biloxi is now a win away from a Southern League title. We wish him well. Tyler Wagner, who pitched earlier this year for the Brewers, another gem tonight in the postseason. Here's Cesar Jimenez. It'll be his 15th appearance. Left-hander of the Brewers, claimed on waivers from the Phillies. And he'll face Jay Bruce to start this 9th inning.
And 2 scoreless last time out on Thursday against the Cardinals. He's only given up runs in 1 of his first 14 appearances.
Joe Block of Brewers radio fame passed on an interesting note on that Biloxi starting rotation. So in 5 playoff games, the Biloxi starters have a 1.35 ERA. And more strikeouts than innings pitched. Good job, Joe. Diving into the shuck dates. What a pitching staff they have.
Yeah, what a team.
Well, in a season to forget for the Brewers, at least they've been able to stockpile their minor league system and hoping to enjoy the fruits of that next year and in the coming years.
Well, Reed Nichols said they have a lot of talent down there, but they got to be patient with them. You can't get too excited about having them up next year and counting on them to be in the big leagues. They have a lot of growing to do and some things to work on, but they're off to a great start.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Bruce takes a ball. 3-2 now. Now they're in the 6th inning in Los Angeles tonight. Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers taking on the Pirates, who are trying to hang on to their top spot in the wild card. Pittsburgh has a lead in that game in the 6th inning, 2-1. Bruce with a flick of the wrist out into left center field, and Schaefer will run it down.
And Bruce thought he had at least a double. Boy, he can cover some ground, Logan Schaefer. Gets a great jump on the baseball, goes right to it. Knows exactly where he is on the field. Almost made a great play early in the game. Came up short, but made that one look easy. Best outfielder the Brewers have as far as covering ground.
Made a nice running catch for the first out of the ninth. Here's Eugenio Suarez. That Pirates-Dodgers game has serious implications because the Cubs beat the Cardinals again today. Back-to-back wins for the Cubs. They had a thriller at Wrigley Field this afternoon, hung on to win it 5-1. First win as a Cub for Trevor Cahill. Cubs are now 5 back of St. Louis for the division. And if the Pirates lose, Chicago will take a half a game lead in the wild card race. That means if it finished that way, the Cubs would host that 1-game wild card playoff. Cubs and Cardinals again tomorrow. And the Pirates will finish their series in LA, but they're on a 3-city road trip.
And no love lost in that Cubs Cardinals series.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Had more ejections today.
Yep.
Rendon and Joe Madden were thrown out today after warnings were issued and a hit batter late. That was in the 9th inning. Cubs lost their closer. That's good. It's the way it should be. Two rivals. They're fighting for a division title. Cardinals did clinch a playoff berth, by the way. The Giants lost as well. So St. Louis, even though they lost the game, they know they're going to postseason in some form. And both the Brewers and the Reds know all too well what's in front of them, trying to get back to relevancy in the division. There's a strike called. Suarez is rung up. 2 outs.
Yeah, you look to next year and you hope to turn things around, but then you realize that it's not going to get any easier next year when you have to play, what is it, over 60 games against the Cubs, Cardinals, and Pirates. Arguably the 3 best teams in the National League.
And don't look like they're going anywhere either, with a lot of young talent. Tucker Barnhart turns around, hits right-handed against Jimenez. Brewers are going to have to deal with one of the game's premier closers, Aroldis Chapman, cranking it up in the Reds bullpen right now.
You can hear the glove pop from here. There's not a microphone down there, is there?
Oh, there's a microphone down there. You better believe it.
I thought we could actually hear the glove popping from here.
Well, you can. There's only a microphone there when we actually see it, like now. Shh, listen. Oh man, that's a loud pop. That's a lot of hard work by our audio crew, just so you can experience that, Rock.
Yeah, well, I've experienced it, believe me. Not Chapman, but others.
In the bullpen. But no, I get what you're saying. Like, we're watching him here. We can hear the glove pop all the way from the booth.
Yeah. I'd say Chapman can break into catcher's mitt within what, 2 days?
There you go.
That was a changeup.
Yeah, it was. You could just tell by the sound, right? There's a called strike 3. The bells are ringing here lately. Home plate umpire Rob Drake. The pop of the mitt one last time for Chapman. He's coming in. 9-7 Cincinnati. They lead it. We go to the bottom of the ninth. And the Brewers will have to deal with Aroldis Chapman. Wrapping up the series tomorrow, our Miller Lite What's on Tap. Anthony Desclafani on the mound against Ariel Pena. 2 more rookies. And when those two throw their first pitch tomorrow, these two teams will have done something that has not been done in 102 years. A complete series of pitching with all rookies matching up against each other, starting pitching. Hadn't been done since 1913. So here's Chapman.
Yeah, the numbers for Chapman jump off the page at you. A 194 opponent batting average, and look at the strikeouts. Almost 2 strikeouts per innings pitched. Incredible stuff. Picked up a save in last night's game. He's only blown 3 this year.
Hernan Perez off his foot, his first at bat of the night. Well, you got to win 63 games in order to not lose 100 in the big leagues. About 162 game season, and this 63rd win is elusive for Milwaukee. They've lost 7 straight, in danger of dropping 8 in a row, minus a comeback here tonight.
And before this losing streak, the Brewers are playing some pretty good baseball. And that one had some fuzz on it right there, 100 miles an hour.
I'll never forget a discussion with Craig Counsell, who was playing for the Brewers at the time when Aroldis Chapman made his major league debut. Counsell hit off of him, and Chapman was bringing it like he always does, and he was throwing 100, 102 miles an hour. The next day I saw Counsell at his locker, and Chapman was all the buzz. I mean, he was all the buzz in baseball. Everybody knew this guy had one of the hardest fastballs ever recorded, and he gets to the big leagues, and I went and I asked Counsell, I said, what was it like facing Aroldis Chapman? And he was so put off by that question. He goes, it wasn't like an out-of-body experience or something.
Yeah.
Lay off.
You know, once you get to about 89 or 98, 99 miles an hour, what's an extra couple miles an hour? Right. That's kind of what he's thinking.
I think Counsell drew a walk in that at bat, as a matter of fact. Yeah, he stopped that conversation quickly.
Did you ask anybody else?
No, I went. That was it. But it was a great story.
Kind of put the brakes on it.
Wasn't an out-of-body experience. What do you want from me? He's a guy. He throws hard. He's turned into much more than that, though.
It's not easy to impress Craig Counsell.
Perez, little jam shot. And Phillips is there for the out. Here's Adam Lynn now. 2 hits and a walk tonight. He'll take his turn against Aroldis Chapman. Final game of the homestand tomorrow night, and then the Brewers are down to 3, or tomorrow afternoon I should say, and then the Brewers are down to 3 remaining games here at Miller Park on the schedule. Just 3. Hope you'll join us October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Brewers are going to Chicago, St. Louis, and San Diego.
Wrigley Field is going to be rocking Monday.
Man, is it ever.
I'm telling you.
Monday night.
Yep.
1-2 on Lynn. Yep, the Brewers are going to jump into hostile territory the next 7 nights after tomorrow's game. 3 in Chicago, 4 in St. Louis. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Lynn. Got him. 2 outs. .103 miles per hour with that fastball.
Yep. Change up at 90.
There's nobody throwing that hard. He's the one. Nevin Ashley will pinch hit. Wow, almost hit him. How about Ashley's last 3 at-bats? Rosenthal, Chapman, Chapman.
I asked him about that today around the batting cage. He says, that's okay. I'll take my at-bats against anybody. Pretty impressive, though, he said. You wait 10 years, you'll face anybody.
I guess so. Brewers down to their last out. Well, this has been one of those nights. And the game secondary tonight, thinking about Elian Herrera, who had to leave this game on an ambulance cart, and I'm sure the Brewers have major concern for their infielder. Ashley makes contact. Frazier backs up on it, and the ball game is over. The Reds win it. The Brewers not only lose the game, but they lose 3 outfielders in this game, and one of them to a serious injury. And we hope to have an update on Elian Herrera at some point during our Brewers Live program. That's coming up now. Craig Cashon standing by. Let's check in with him now. Take it away, Craig.
Okay, thanks, B. Tough one here all the way around for Milwaukee. As B mentioned, not just the loss, but the players as well. Hope to get an update. We'll hear from Craig Counsell, his thoughts and what's going in the minds of the Brewer players right now when we come back to Miller Park.